Mic check, mic check. All right, let's get ready for the show. Okay, where's that? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Black Broadcast. I'm your host, Rap Raven. Let me quickly update the interface. Give me 17 seconds. Oh, where is it now? Hold on. Is it ad source? I think it's this one. How do you do it again? Is it? Um. Oh, I should have done it earlier. You know what? I'm actually down. It's like I've lost my marbles. Hold on. Give me seven. Oh, we go. Share screen. That's what it is. Of course. That's what it is. All right. Let's try that one. Da da da. Yeah, I've got it. Excellent. There you go. Super magic. Hello, everyone. This is the Black Band Broadcast. I'm your host, Rap Raven. This is the 151st show. So 151 times that we as a community are trying to work together to find solutions for black people. Very good. Well done. Let me quickly make this slightly bigger. You got to forgive me, family. I've only got one screen today, so it's all going to be a bit archaic. Anyway, let's go on. All right, here we go. So let's start as we always start. So when it comes to working as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, black people are collectively inadequate. Never good. Eventually, you might find a non-black person who shows some kind of corollary towards black people. However, collectively, black people have no friends. And last, but by no means least, constructive black man of constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. Very good. Now, let's carry on. So today we're going to send a link out as we always do. And when we do, please don't forget if we can try to be as constructive as possible. And we do that by practicing the 4Ds. That is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Try that every time you want to be constructive and work with black people, and you will find solutions come just that little bit more easier. Also, we cannot use any profanity if possible. It makes communication very hard unless we're studying profanity itself or profanities in the background. I try to edit out some of the videos, but sometimes it slips through. But we are past 10 o'clock, so it shouldn't be too bad. But it's just principles, I guess. So what is Black Betterment for those who are new? It's black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. That's it. It's a lifestyle. So we promote the lifestyle of black betterment on this broadcast. That's what we do. I'm going to show you some videos. That's not ours, but we're viewing them for case study purposes. I think last week we actually played one and it might have cut the show. I assume it was. I think someone told me the show last week cut me at the start again. I couldn't see any flags or anything. I don't know if maybe I accidentally pressed the button or who knows. But we've tried to make sure that we've properly edited these videos so they don't get triggered or anything like that. So hopefully this week we've got some great footage this week. Okay, where are we now? Okay, now this week's show. So been a bit of a rise up in Africa lately. A lot of the countries seem to be doing very constructive things, at very least kicking out colonial people and speaking in a very uplifting way, which is always good to hear. One such person is the new president, sorry, of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore. I'm probably saying that wrong, but shame on me twice. So we're gonna look at that, see who that is, see what that's going on there. We've got one video we're gonna quickly look at, and maybe if anyone wants to jump in, they can and talk about that. And we saw something in South Africa as well. I haven't got any videos on that, but I know that there was some video of Malema or something singing the song, and the South African rich man wasn't best pleased. What's his name? I don't know. Tesla guy, for his name. But anyway, yeah, we might cover that next week, and we might talk about it this week as well. And obviously, and the last, a very important one: who should defend black women from the attacks of? Oh my! Look at that. The thing hasn't even the attacks and slander. It's meant to say attacks and slander of not of. Let me see if. Oh man! All right. Well, while I play the video, I'll bounce that down again. All right. There you go. Looks like it got cut off. All right. Cool. All right. So what we're gonna do? Let's listen to the first video while I open up that. Oh, I know that will take 20 minutes again to render. I can hear my machine already losing its mind. Let's see what happened. What is it? I'm just gonna say what it says because it cut off and I can't remember. Let's see if I can open my InDesign file. Oh, there we go, InDesign file, and it says, "Oh, the slander of racists." Well, there you go. I don't need to see that, but we'll update anyway. Cool. So we're gonna do. We're gonna play one video to find out who is the new president of Burkina Faso. Very important country with a very rich history. Very rich history. So let's see if we can find that fantastic video. Let's see what we can do. Hold on. 151. I think it's this one. There we go. Let's have a sneak peek. We'll have a peek. There it is, and we're going to drag it in. Drag it on.
Burkina Faso's 35-year-old president Ibrahim Traore has set social media ablaze with his
Traore. Did I read that? I probably read that really wrong.
Comments lamenting how Africa, despite all of its richness in natural resources, is still so poor that its leaders have to travel to the West to beg for aid. He made these comments while attending the second edition of the just-ended Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg, Russia, that took place from July 27th, July 28th, 2023. President Ibrahim Traore, who is Africa's youngest president, also stressed the need for African countries to forge new alliances moving forward to guarantee a brighter future for their people. Hello and welcome. This is Rain Smith, and you are watching the New Africa channel.
Les questions que mes générations se posent sont les suivantes, si je peux me résumer, c'est de ne pas comprendre comment l'Afrique, avec tant de richesses sur notre sol.
So let me read it out.
Les questions que
The question that my generation is asking themselves,
mes générations se posent sont les suivantes.
Are they following, if I may sum up? Are the following, if I may sum up?
Si je peux me résumer, c'est de ne pas comprendre
It is not to understand how
comment l'Afrique, avec tant de richesses sur notre
with
sol,
so much wealth on our soil,
avec une nature généreuse,
generous nature and water,
de l'eau, du soleil,
sun in abundance,
en
Africa
abondance,
is today.
l'Afrique est aujourd'hui le continent le plus pauvre.
So he's saying Africa is today the poorest continent. And he just said they've got so much rich resources. Why is this?
L'Afrique est un continent
Africa is a hungry continent.
affamé. Et comment se fait
And how is it that our heads of state are
l'État traverse donc le monde
crossing the world to
à
beg?
mendier? Voici des questions
These are the questions that we ask ourselves
que nous nous
and
posons et que nous n'avons pas de réponse jusque
that we have no answer to so far.
là. Nous avons l'occasion
We have the opportunity to forge new
de tisser de nouvelles relations.
relations.
Et j'espère que ces
And I
relations
hope that these
puissent être les
relations
meilleures
are the
pour
best to give a better future to our
donner
people.
un meilleur avenir à nos peuples.
All right.
Said to have been a shy but intelligent boy in school, Burkina Faso's Captain Ibrahim Traore is one of the most recent military commanders to capture power in a coup in one of France's former colonies in West Africa. Traore was part of the group of army officers that supported the January 2022 Burkina Faso coup d'état and brought the patriotic movement for safeguard and restoration military junta to power. From March 2022, he served as the head of an artillery regiment in Kaya, the fifth largest city in Burkina Faso, lying northeast of Ouagadougou. However, he was catapulted onto the world stage after overthrowing his ex-comrade Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba on September 30th, 2022, accusing him of breaking his vow to put an end to the Islamist conflict that has plagued Burkina Faso since 2015. The 35-year-old captain was born in 1988, making him the youngest head of state in Africa. He joins the ranks of three other coup leaders, the charismatic Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya of Guinea, born in 1981, the bearded Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, born in 1983, and General Abdourahmane Tiani, born in 1961, the head of Niger's powerful presidential guard since 2015, who just declared himself leader on July 29, 2023, after barricading President Mohamed Bazoum inside his residence and demanding his resignation. After successfully orchestrating his coup, Captain Traore reportedly told government officials, "I know I'm younger than most of you here. We didn't want what happened, but we didn't have a choice." President Ibrahim Traore's bold comments at the Russia-Africa Summit have resonated deeply with Africans and earned him an influx of admirers overnight. It is indeed perplexing that Africa, blessed with an abundance of natural resources, continues to grapple with poverty to the extent that it relies on foreign aid. This paradox can be attributed to a combination of historical factors, including colonial exploitation, unequal trade relationships, political instability, corruption, and mismanagement of resources. Additionally, the lack of diversified economies and sustainable development strategies has hindered the continent's ability to fully harness its wealth of resources for the benefit of its people. President Traore also pointed out the irony of African leaders seeking aid from the West, despite overseeing countries with abundant resources. By voicing the frustrations and long-held questions of many Africans, Traore has emerged as a symbol of hope for change and a catalyst for challenging the status quo in Africa's leadership and economic landscape. As a young leader, Traore's advantage lies in his ability to connect with the aspirations of Africa's youth, who make up a significant portion of the continent's population. Many young Africans are eager to identify with fresh ideas and identities of leaders like themselves, who can bring about innovative approaches to governance and tackle long-standing challenges. Traore's youthfulness thus brings a sense of relatability and represents a beacon of progress for a generation seeking to reshape Africa's narrative and usher in a new era of prosperity and self-reliance. Do you agree with Captain Ibrahim Traore's comments about the need for Africa's story to change through strategic alliances and good leadership? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, do subscribe to the New Africa channel for more interesting future videos.
Please go and subscribe to the New Africa channel. We borrowed their video there. They made it. Well done to them and big up them. So go follow them if you can. Now, yeah, so we'll just cover it. So we go back to the thing. So yeah, we case study on Burkina Faso's new president there. Yeah, it looks very interesting. Let us know your thoughts. I think did he mention that he was also, I think, uniting with I think Niger and Mali with some initiative to try to exile a lot of the foreign people and not foreign, but like some of the armies and soldiers or something that's in the country, something like that. But it's early days. I also wanted to cover what's happening in South Africa at the moment with, I saw some big party singing in the stadium and they were singing, run the Boers out and kill the Boers. The Boers were the invaders who came to South Africa from Holland. And I guess they mixed with the British, the Dutch, and one other group, I can't remember. But I think they when they were there, they made a song about kicking them out. And then they sing. I think they sing it now as a song. I think Elon Musk or some other South Africans wasn't displeased. Yeah, but we'll cover that another time. Very interesting stuff. Yeah, okay, so that's that. We'll jump back onto this topic as well about Africa and new leaders and all that good stuff there. But now we're going to focus on who should defend Black women from the attacks and slanders of racists. Okay, good title. So I think last week we watched last week a young sister with a son who I believe was being attacked by the police and manhandled in front of a child. This is in the UK. And they accused her of not having a ticket, and they suspect she didn't have a ticket for the bus. She did have one. I think she used her Oyster or top up or a business card, whatever it was. And yeah, you know, they manhandled her and it wasn't good. And, you know, we were asking, you know, what is happening where Black women seem to be easy targets, you know? Like, who is meant to be defending Black women? And got two other videos. One we mentioned last week, I found it. And it was about this kind of new wave of, you know, trolling or not trolling, but, you know, broad non-Black people speaking negatively about Black people, but particularly Black women. So we've got one video there. We're going to play that. I've placed the link in the thing. So what I'm going to find that video while I try to paste it up. But if you hear it, feel free to jump in and that good stuff while I find this video. So yeah, it's not long, but we'll listen to the rambles of this gentleman, and then we'll see if we can unpack it and see what happens next. So here he is. Let's put it on there. Ta-da.
This is the reason why men don't want to date Black women. If you're watching this and you're a Black woman, listen carefully, okay? It's not racism. I'm not racist. My friends aren't racist. I'm speaking for all men. They're not racist.
Yeah, as you know, when people say not racist, they're getting you ready for racism. Very old trick that is.
Right? It's nothing to do with racism.
So everything to do with racism, my friend. Everything to do with racism. I suspect you are racist, but in the show, you will demonstrate that.
It's to do with being masculine and aggressive. No guy wants to date a woman who's so masculine and aggressive.
So we need to pinpoint how this happens. So this is what I'm saying about, it's the whole N-word stuff where, black people call each other stuff and then becomes normalized, and then other people feeling bold to say the same stuff. This could be a part of that. This kind of masculine narration, angry black woman narrative, and now obviously the non-black person is feeling bold to jump on and say this kind of stuff.
The average woman, the black American woman, is 180 pounds. Man's coming like Israel Adesanya, middleweight UFC champion. I don't want to date Israel Adesanya. 180 pounds. That's average. That's crazy, meaning more than half of the black American women are above 180. They're coming like Brock Lesnar. And the problem is they're looking up to people like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. Cardi B has literally been on interview saying multiple times how she's drugged people, stole their money.
This man is some kind of Arab, not too sure. I don't know his name. I'll have to do more research, but some kind of Arab background. You won't see him say anything about his women. If someone did, there'll be an outrage, this kind of stuff. But yet he's very emboldened and comfortable to talk about black women.
Done all these horrible things, and you have all these black women saying she's the queen, she's the queen. The problem with so many of these black women is they're so fat and bulky, right? And they're acting like, why am I not being treated like this European model? Because you're not a model. It's nothing to do with your color. It's just she's a beautiful model.
So you see already, he mentioned European as his go-to, and now using words like beautiful. So you see, even though he himself is Arab, he's already placed himself beneath Europeans.
She looks amazing. You are massive. Oh, but I'm big boned. Look, black people have great genetics. They're very strong. But the problem is with black women is it just makes them go so crazy and psycho, and they want to beat everyone up, and they become so aggressive. Relax. No one's trying to take your chicken. You just need to relax.
There's no racist comment there. No one's trying to take your chicken. So I don't know who this guy is, but I've seen him do other skits or whatever it is, and he's by some kind of like light-skinned, biracial, very confused individual who himself has become problematic and people called out for his self-hatred ways and just complete, lack of knowledge ways. But like once again, having friends like that empower these people because they see like a segue into, well, if you're doing it, then I can do it. And that's why shutting people down ASAP is important. We always say the rules still remain in my books, like no one is invited to the barbecue, but these are the things you have to learn.
A minute. That's why people don't want to date you. It's not because of it's not because of your skin color. It's nothing to do with racism at all. Read the whiteboard if you're getting confused.
Right, so I don't know who he is. I'll do some. The thing is, I don't know who he is. I don't really care, to be fair, but he's come up on feeds, and naturally with the internet world, this is what they're trying to do. It's like it's kind of like when that rapper, he's part of S-Dubs or some kind of dubs. I don't know the name. Not really. I don't know modern rap and pop too much. I'm very behind. But S-Dubs. Is it S-Dubs? N-Dubs. There you go. N-Dubs 7. Something like this. Yeah, this individual, I think he made this is maybe 10 years ago, kind of whatever. But he made a freestyle where he was using the N-word all the time. And I suspect a lot of these guys, they do these things because they know they'll get some kind of click, whatever. But the fact is, they know what group to do it with. Now, back in the day, black people were the last group to try things on. They're the first group. And we're seeing, and that's why the question of this week is, who is, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Who should defend black women from the attacks and slander of racists? Because obviously, I naturally look at these comments and then you see a whole lot of women going on. And really, you want, and there's definitely men there saying stuff like that, but it's predominantly, it's predominantly the women going in. But sometimes you see one or two misguided black men who might even try to co-sign some of the anti-black stuff he's saying. And this is, what I'm saying is these kinds of people, these kinds of behaviors that allow these non-black people to get funding and clickbait and all this kind of stuff they need for their anti-black show. It's very similar to when we covered that the racist lady, Pearl, I think her name is Pearl, and how comfortable she was, and even today she's dedicated to white supremacy and this kind of stuff, and never and doubling down on all the things she said. I think they even had her singing a anti-Jewish song the other day. So it's like, but the thing is, you don't want to react, at the last moment. You kind of want to nip this in the bud before it gets going. And you can really know this and protect this stuff by having principles and codes. And that is, you do not mock black women and mock black men. You stay united. You defend black women. You defend black men. You realize that black people is all black people's got, and collectively, black people have no friends. These codes that we start off the show with very important, because you will observe that me, myself, and I, when I go to Speaker's Corner, because of these kind of codes, you'll find that I'm never really in these compromised positions because the code dictates, you see. And it might sound very harsh, but it's very helpful. And co-signing anyone else when it comes to anything really, but definitely undermining black progress and stuff is a no-no. So this is what we have to do. We welcome Brother Kel to the show. Welcome, Brother Kel.
Betterment, Brother Raven.
Betterment.
Betterment, brother.
Excellent. So this week, brother, we're the two important topics. One, we're doing a case study of the new president of Burkina Faso. Very young man, 37 years old. Ibrahim Traore. I think I'm saying that wrong. Traore. And we just looked at everything from him. But we also looked at everything from I say Arab, people call him Arab, but I couldn't tell you which part of the Middle East or wherever, right? I couldn't tell you, but I'm trying to find his kind of page just to do a better case study. But yeah, we have this. Did you see the video I just played there, brother?
I didn't, King. I just
play again. It's very short.
Oh.
And this also joining now because we've got some few people. So once again, let's go to. So this guy is some kind of Arab gentleman, and he's definitely trying to follow like the narrative of the manosphere-ish kind of thing. But he looks like he wants to come up, and how he's going to get his come up is by speaking derogatively against black women. I mean, so when we listen to this family, the question we're asking people is, who should defend black women from the attacks of slander of racists? So let me see if I can find this again. Is it? Okay.
This is the reason why men don't want to date black women. If you're watching this and you're a black woman, listen carefully, okay?
So once again, so I'm going to break down and talk. Within the community, it's not of when you're on code, it doesn't matter what non-black people think about the beauty standards or behavior patterns of black people. Because once again, there's limits, their opinions don't matter. What you'll find this gentleman is he will probably fight to the very end to defend the honor of his woman from whatever country she's from. He'll have an expectation of how she should behave. If she doesn't, he still will defend her. She will never be mentioned in any of his videos. So, for example, a lot of these kind of modern Arab guys who are hanging with these other white guys and doing this kind of like dating kind of stuff. They're probably Islamic or Muslim, but they won't mention it because they don't want to shame their community. So they'll distance themselves from some of the practice that you might have in Islam and start having a more Western behavior. Hence why they're trying to organize this kind of thing. But they'll definitely remember to defend their culture and the people in their culture, whilst degrading black culture and this kind of stuff, or trying to at least feel like they're assimilating in black culture by using the N-word and this kind of like yo kind of stuff. And this gentleman, I suspect, is no different. He's probably trying to come up, and right now he's starting by saying no one wants black women. So one of the things as black men, we want to shut that down. Like we definitely say it's none of their business, and but we are the ones who should be defending and propping up. And literally, you're just propping up black women, full stop. There's no one else. There's no segue to anywhere else. You don't need to mention his women. That's for him. He can have his women. He shouldn't be talking about black women. They've got nothing to do with him. But I suspect he's doing it because it's an easy come up, and he's trying to get clicks for whatever kind of show he's trying to make money.
Yeah, that's a good point, that is, bro. Yeah, totally agree with that.
Exactly. So let's have a sneak peek of what he's saying.
It's not racism. I'm not racist. My friends aren't racist.
Remember, whenever a non-black person says they're not racist, they 110% will be racist. That's a trick there. So he's now going to show you how racist he is.
I'm speaking for all men. They're not.
He's speaking for all men. Very important. When men say this, we disqualify. We go, nope, black men, we're different. Remember when you see me speaking and Alvaro speaking, they try to do this kind of men thing and manosphere and stuff. And, you want to stand next to white men and Arab men and go, yeah, you women, and you're bad to men, and you say modern women and men are like this. But what happens as time goes by, it's no longer women, it's black women, you see. Because remember that old philosophy, whenever you stay around black people, I mean, whenever you mix people and you integrate certain ideas, give a few days, a few weeks, a few years, and you shake it up, and you go back and revisit it, you'll find black people at the bottom and everyone else at the top in shade-based order, with Europeans at the top, Arabs, and then blacks at the bottom. So this is the same when you come together with your manosphere buddies and you want to, first you say you want to make fun of modern women, but then it'll become black women. And so let's carry on listening, and we shall demonstrate this while I continue to talk.
Not racist, right? It's nothing to do with racism. It's to do with being masculine and aggressive. No guy wants to date a woman who's so masculine and aggressive. The average woman, the black American woman, is 180 pounds. Man's coming like Israel Adesanya, middleweight UFC champion.
Once again, we see very big women from the Middle East. He's not talking about them. He's talking about black women for some reason. He will never mention women from the Middle East at all. Although we know there are plenty of women from the Middle East who are very large, but he's not mentioning them.
I don't want to date Israel Adesanya. 180.
You should date your own women. You shouldn't be speaking about black women, but we understand you're practicing racism to promote your channel.
80 pounds. That's average. That's crazy, meaning more than half of the black American women are above 180. They're coming like Brock Lesnar. And the problem is they're looking up to people like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. Cardi B has literally been on interview saying multiple times how she's drugged people, stole their money, done all these horrible things. And you have all these black women saying she's the queen, she's the queen.
No, not really. No one's saying she's the queen. She's an entertainer. She's a Puerto Rican entertainer. Is she Hispanic? Something like this.
The problem with so many of these black women is they're so fat and bulky.
So once again, you see, he keeps referencing this. He's clearly mocking and making fun, trying to say, and we should expect no less.
And they're acting like, why am I not being treated like this European model? Because you're not a model. It's nothing to do with your color. It's just she's a beautiful model. She looks amazing.
So remember, he's showing psychology. His default was to, when he spoke of beautiful, was a model from Europe. That's his default in his mind. He himself is not a European man, but that's his default. So it shows you already that dynamic. Remember we said about that dynamic, European at the top, and who's he mocking? The black woman. So black woman at the bottom, you see? So he has his dynamic. Whenever these people are around you, you should not be inviting them to your barbecues and stuff, but you want to check them. Do not allow them to use the N-word. You should not be using the N-word anyway. But when you start doing this, if you argue about your women in front of them, then they will pick up on it. They will not be arguing about their women in front of you. You won't even see their women. You'll never see their women. They don't mention it. You see, and this is the thing. A person like him should not be mentioning dating black women. For no black woman should be taking him. Once again, it's just, we have to get on code and understand that collectively, black people have no friends. Let's carry on listening.
You are massive. Oh, but I'm big boned. Look, black people have great genetics. They're very strong. But the problem is with black women is it just makes them go so crazy and psycho, and they want to beat everyone up, and they become so aggressive. Relax. No one's trying to take your chicken.
So there's a chicken reference, very racist thing. This whole chicken and watermelon stuff dropping. So he's practicing racism. I don't know who he is. We'll find out who he is as the weeks go by. But what I'm saying is, all these videos are important because they're part of a bigger campaign to make black people delineate from non-black people in many activities, and to not empower non-black people to constantly practice anti-black racism. This is just a small tip of the iceberg. When you go to many nations, out there in certain lands, you find that dynamics there, and you find that the disrespect is happening at a higher rate, just in a different language. But this is what he's doing. Let's carry to the end.
You just need to relax a minute. That's why people don't want to date you. It's not because of it's not because of your skin color. It's nothing to do with racism at all. Read the whiteboard if you're getting confused.
Yes, anyway, this individual has been empowered by, I suspect, black men, or either he's in some Arab country on holiday, staying there, and he's not around black men who probably have to finally check him. But the question still remains, and that question is, here we go. Who should defend black women from the attacks and slander of racists? Never good. We got what? Have I pinned this? Let me pin. Oh, I think let me check. So we're joined by Brother Kel, and he can jump anytime he wants. But while we've,
it's interesting, Brother, because I didn't really get the breakdown of the manosphere like that. I just knew that they were basically unsynchronized. But I was told, like in details, that originally it was like the Europeans' particular group, right? That they were going against their own women.
Yes.
Which we know historically the Roman Greco culture, they've never really liked the European woman. And then what's very interesting is that us black men, right, decided to go on the panel and defend the European woman. And the European men were saying to themselves, hold on a minute, we know our women, they behave this way. What are you talking about? And then the black man was saying, no, you're wrong, European men. Your women are good and better than our women. And then the European manosphere said to themselves, right, okay, we have to kick everybody out. Now, I didn't know that at all, that we were defending the European woman on a European platform where the European man. I had no idea, King.
Let me break down for so I won't give names because there are some people we don't want to name some people, but what I would say is there's the history of what's happening. So basically, for those who don't know, this whole new movement, first it came this manosphere movement, and it was basically a lot of European men who were having difficulty finding women, but more so European women. And then they were saying that the philosophy was that nowadays women are very, they've got work and they're very in power and they don't respect men, whatever. And then black men started to come along, and then what would happen is the black men would join and go, yeah. And after some time, the black men realized that they were being ignored or disrespected. So then they formed their own black manosphere stuff, right? And then within the black manosphere, I guess their job was to then talk about black women. While the European man was talking about women in general, the manosphere man was talking about black women. And then they would end up having European women on there co-signing some of their behavior. So already you will see this shift from it where it's going to an alleged problem about women, or modern women, to a problem about black women, and then then white women are co-signing it. So a very terrible dynamic, and that's why the biggest black manosphere speaker at one point was a European American lady called Pearl, and the black men really adored this particular individual. She spoke against feminism and being overweight, this kind of stuff, and the black men loved it, tremendously in that particular movement. And then what happened was she wanted to grow her market, so she started inviting her friends who were white supremacists on, and some of the black men weren't best pleased, while the others were trying to defend her. And then the black men would fight each other to defend the honor of the racist white woman. And
That's mad.
this is and this is what I'm saying. Like, we have to be honest, and we have to give guidance. Really, like, we have to admit that there is many people have fallen so far from the bench that it's very shocking, but it's to be expected. And the complete mismanagement of this manosphere talk kind of thing. And obviously, there's also other manosphere people who in America who they're actually anti-black. So they're black. They're black non-African American. So they'll be like from Africa or the Caribbean, and they don't necessarily resonate with the African Americans. So they're very comfortable to say negative stereotypes, and then they're part of that movement as well. Some of those guys. So it's very unsynchronized, really. And then they'll go on, they'll mock black women. So it's problematic. So that's why we kind of need to draw a line in the sand to find out where is the constructive black man. I think what many black men don't realize is you might feel you're having to come up when you mock black women in front of the people group you most admire to be around, and you think that you're getting brownie points from them, but really they have their philosophy. They know that any man who mocks his own women can't be trusted. You see, but they know that. That's why when they're doing this stuff, they're not directly ever mentioning their own women. Very good case study. Like, if you look at the Pearl lady we were mentioning, at no point will she ever distance herself from the white supremacists. So she has white supremacists on her show, and she will never. She 100% defends his rights. She even sings anti-Semitic Jewish songs, to celebrate certain things that she's doing on the show. She goes on many panels now. She's getting a bit bigger, going the bigger platforms out there I'm seeing, and she's doubling down that she supports these individuals. This is a person who black men will find to defend. You need to be very careful, and it's once again your face is looking quite blue, but who knows? You can't. We got to try to minimize some of these L's that we're catching, but the question is, who should defend black women? and it is actually black men. There's the news flash. So what we want to see whenever we see these videos of non-black people mocking black women, when we go onto some of these YouTube and Instagram kind of comments, it should mainly be flooded with black men giving their comments, not black women. The idea is black women should never feel alone to the slanders and racists of the enemy. Really, that doesn't make any sense, and you can't get any brownie points by co-signing what an enemy says or going, well, black women do this, then they all this kind of stuff that the unsynchronized man might say. So it is very troubling. What we're going to do as well, I've got one more video. This is slightly connected, but it's more demonstrating how all over the world, because last week we saw in the UK, we saw a black woman being mistreated in front of her son. And we also, a few months back, showed, we always show the references of how black people are treated versus versus non-black people. So, for example, we observed that, unfortunately, with, is it Demir Rice? Am I saying it Rice?
Yeah.
Pronounce his name correct. How unfortunately he was playing with a toy gun and the police shot him from the windows. They didn't ask no questions. They assumed he had a real gun for some reason. I don't know why they assumed this. No one was around. No one was in danger, but they just shot him from the window. And they got off scot-free. We then showed you a video of three children, one girl, two boys, breaking into a person's house, stealing automatic weapons, firing at the police in windows, and you can hear the police shouting, "Don't shoot their children." And they managed to upper hand these three children with automatic weapons without harming them. So we're showing you these dynamics, and that's why it's free to understand. So we're going to show one video now. This happened in the States, I think 3 weeks ago. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see.
There
we go. This happened 3 weeks ago in America. It's very similar, but let's have a listen. All right.
An older black woman in Lancaster, California. She was being assaulted by a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy outside of a local grocery store. Now, the woman was videotaping her husband being arrested after they both were detained after the deputies were called by the store because the couple was falsely accused of stealing a cake. In California, under First Amendment laws, the woman and others are well within their right to film law enforcement in any public or private setting, as long as it doesn't interfere with law enforcement activity or endanger others. In fact, citizens who film law enforcement could use these recordings as evidence of any criminal or civil law cases. Now, the woman who was older was thrown to the ground, pepper sprayed in the video, and her husband was already handcuffed, yelling out, "She has cancer." Now, the LASD is now investigating this incident as a use of force case. But if you've seen the video, it was absolutely heartbreaking.
Why y'all doing this shit, man? Bro, why y'all doing all this? My boy is fucked up, man. I'm telling you, I'm sleeping.
No, you can't touch me. You can't touch me.
Get on the ground.
It's already on YouTube.
Stop.
Live.
I don't get. Stop. Stop. You're gonna get punched in the face.
You punch me and you're gonna get sued.
Don't sock her. Don't sock her.
Put your hands behind your back.
So much is going on with this case, and I know our comments will be jumping and will be all over the place. Pierre, this couple was accused of stealing a cake that appeared to be less than about $20 in the video. Now, we understand this is a private business, but should grocery stores prosecute and criminally charge individuals for theft less than $20? I also want to note that we're learning that this was a false accusation of them stealing that cake.
Wow, man, that is
stop it there. So yeah, it's an elderly lady with cancer, sadly, was attacked obviously by the police for allegedly stealing a cake. They didn't steal it, but you see, the officer felt no way to throw an elderly woman on the floor, threatened to punch her in the face. We do try to give advice about how to try to handle yourself in those situations, and just knowing that you don't really have rights. So you can really say, what you do and have rights or whatever. But generally, once you're faced with that kind of demeanor, you want to try to be as calm as possible, I know it's hard, and literally try to go with the flow best you can. Don't fight, don't flee, don't fuss, is what Needful says, and I definitely recommend that. Um, you know, understanding that you're at war, and that's what it is. That's how people see you. It's never good. Very sad to see that. So that was that. That was a quick video there. I think I've put the link at the top. So if anyone wishes to jump in, feel free to click in. We're talking about two topics today. Oh, come on. So two topics today. One, very quick one. We case study the president of Burkina Faso. This young 35-year-old brother come in. He seems to be talking very good stuff. We also referencing there was certain things going on in South Africa with some kind of voting party or something, and some kind of big stadium full of brothers and sisters who were singing a song about killing the Boers. The Boers are the South Africans who invaded and killed black people. I think they made a song many years ago, and that's like their kind of like motivational song. I think Elon Musk, a South African man who's left South Africa, heard it, and I think he wasn't best pleased. So we maybe cover it next week or whatever. But well done to those guys. But yeah, we're also asking the question: who should defend black women from the attacks and slander of racists? And we also show the Arab man trying to get clicks from his new channel by mocking black women. Now that he has a whole lot of white and Arab friends, and they co-sign this kind of stuff. I've seen some other videos he's in, but I don't know his name, so I need to do a bit more on him. But I'm sure it's all for the love of getting more clicks, and naturally, black people are the victims in that. The voice got go ahead.
It's definitely that, because when you're dealing with that region, the great grandmother of the original Arabs was from Egypt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of their that region, a lot of the prolific black women that's done a lot of stuff were melanated black women.
Yeah.
Deep eating brown. So you definitely know that what he's doing. I mean, the black woman's lips and etc. was desired in that region. So it's for us to always give a historical evidence and proof. And bearing in mind as well, sadly, the black woman are maids, unfortunately, in that region.
Yes.
So a lot of those pale Arabs are seeing their pale mothers very angry when their fathers are, raping the black women, and they're wanting the black woman more than they're wanting them, and they're seeing that, and then they're projecting this particular hate. So we know what they're doing, brother, man. The black woman is favored in every single community historically, and that you and I know the proof and evidence. So we definitely is a thing where he has enmity because his father has left his pale Arab mother for the black woman. And this is the thing that happens over there as well. We should do a lot of videos and talks on it. I don't mind, I know that region very well, but they all suffer with that. There's even a documentary where there was pale Arab women saying that they don't want the other black women coming into that region because they're going to steal their husbands.
Wow.
I'll try and find a video.
Yeah, that'll be handy. Please, guys. I mean, there's a woman I wanted to cover a woman. Sadly, I forgot to do it, but I'll write it down. I saw a new page. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. The page was called something like Chemic Queen. I thought, this is interesting. And when I clicked on it, it's a brand new page for 2 months, whatever it is. And there's an Arab woman, and she's pretty much just, documenting, her dislike for black people, claiming that ancient Egyptians were Nubians or black or whatever. And but it's interesting because that word Kemet as a word that black people have thoroughly taken for decades, and now because of this Egyptian film that comes out and this other stuff is happening, you're finding many of the Arabs are not best pleased. And I think Empress Kushti mentioned a lot of and we did say we're going to cover it, and I should actually maybe next week do that. We're going to cover some of the things where certain black men have been kicked out of Egypt and all sorts of people going on some shows and saying black people are stealing our identity, whatever it is. Interesting words. But yeah, we'll say the Arab man is just following the tactics that just pearly things and fresh and fit used to give views by being racist to black women. That's what I'm saying. You have black women open season, and I think it's necessary for black men to be defending black women. I think, yeah, you definitely want to call. Well, it's not that you want to call out black men who don't. I think what we want to do, we want to highlight black men who do, and put emphasis on men who do, so the men who don't can be marginalized. What else do we like before you? There we go. Let's read some of this stuff. Hi, there we go. Talking about how damaging and dangerous EFF chat is to the white South Africans. Yeah. So yeah, very good. I finally got that video. But yeah, it's interesting to see what's going on in South Africa. And what's his brother saying here? He's saying, like I said before, YouTube is white supremacy organization because if they did this to white women, Jewish women, the channel will be shut down. Very true. This is what I'm saying. You have a free reign. Speaking of black women as well, I mean, I don't want to give false information, but before I was collating data for this particular show, I came across the video game because for those many people don't really play games, but I used to play it a very long time ago. And I remember when I first went online, it was a very racist place. Like with the video game industry, when it first Xbox and these things came out, you could actually go online and you just would be thrown into forums and you would talk to people. And there wouldn't be one forum I went in where people weren't practicing racism. I think it was like the early days of because you can't see anyone, you can really be yourself. Kind of like with trolls and their kind of accounts with, Bugs Bunny names and Bugs Bunny pictures, and they're to mistreat black people. But I think nowadays I think they've cleaned up where you can't actually speak to random people now. You have to talk to your friends. So hopefully they've fixed all that nonsense. But I was looking online and there's a game called Mortal Kombat. It was a very famous game. I want to say 91, this kind of time, back in the days. And what's happening is I might be talking too early, but there's this big backlash because they've made a character, and I think the character name is Tanya. So this is a character I'm not aware of because when I played Mortal Kombat, this person wasn't in it. But it must be a new character, whatever. But I think what they've done now is because the graphics is getting better, rather than just have polygons and shapes where they have to have people, they now can actually get real looking people. They can have real looking kind of characters, whatever. And they've got this new character now called Tanya, and they've modeled her on the black woman. And people are not best pleased. And what they're saying is, we're not best pleased because she's ugly, and it's always kind of whatever. I'm thinking, I don't know. It's when I look at this woman's face, and I'm showing it, it's a black woman. So I'm like, what's ugly about this black woman? So I could be wrong. Maybe there's a whole movement against the whole Mortal Kombat thing. But from what I see, there's like hundreds of channels protesting a black woman's face. So let me get that video. I think I downloaded it, and let's have a sneak peek. I don't know if you guys are aware of this Mortal Kombat kind of game. It was very popular back in the it was very controversial back in the 90s. I remember there's news reports, everything. But now they've got super graphics so they can actually have people look like people. There we go. Let's see what this woman says. They all say the same thing. Let's have a listen to this. Oh, where's she? There we go. Okay. Is it on? Hold on.
Mortal Kombat has already faced a lot of backlash, and rightfully so, with Mortal Kombat 11 and what they've done with their female characters, especially just making them a lot more boring, taking away a lot of their feminine appeal. But they've done it again, and this time we've seen the most egregious case. The worst make under. Shield your eyes. I know you probably already saw my thumbnail, so.
Oh yeah, by the way, I actually did see they cloned Tyrone today. Brother Dominic, I know you said I should watch it. I saw it today. We can talk about maybe today or next week or something. Yeah, I did watch it. It's a Netflix thing, guys. I won't give away anything, but if you guys, it's probably worth watching just to see. Some people are not best pleased with it, some people are, but see what you guys think before we do a case study.
So I apologize for subjecting you to that. But when the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer originally dropped, I was like, hey, you know what? This actually might look pretty good. Maybe it'll be good. Should have known better. Should have known, especially.
So it's a white woman speaking, by the way.
After what happened with Mortal Kombat 11. But for some reason, I was feeling optimistic. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Now, first, I want to highlight this tweet that I made because I already know the haters are preemptively going to leave these comments. So let me just read this and then address it. So I said, people who like female video game characters to look pretty and feminine and male characters to look handsome and masculine.
So the complaint they're saying is these new women are looking masculine, right? And ugly. That's their issue.
Are not the same as Coomer brain degenerates. They lump us all together to gaslight us. Wanting characters to be attractive is not corn or even close. I feel it's important to preface with this because so often when we talk about a female character being ruined, or being made to look more plain and not as feminine, not as beautiful, we're often told we are degenerates. And it's the irony here is the people who say this are usually these people with furry avatars who are looking at some of the most degen corn imaginable. It's just weird. But no, not only that, but even people, there are some Coomer brain degenerates that want every character in video games to look pornographic, and it's a different thing for them. It's like a degen thing. So I think this, not necessarily supporting is more racist. Maybe there are some people who are racist for not.
Those guys on screen. There's a picture on the screen of the black. So when I look at the screen, I look at a black woman with African hairstyle. This character called Tanya has made everyone go mad. And they say that she's ugly and she's plain and aggressive. I don't know what it is, right? And just odd. And I'm thinking it looks like a black woman. But maybe I'm wrong.
Liking how she looks. But I think it's actually, I think supporting this is more, I mean, not necessarily supporting is more racist. Maybe there are some people who like it better. I have a hard time believing that they genuinely like it better.
So I made a comment saying she looks like a black woman, looks good to me. And I got a whole lot of comments, people jumping on, trying to disparage me. I think one thing you have to understand about video games as well, especially these games, they would make games in the old days where they would do something called palette swapping. And what that means is to save time and data, they'll take like a character, they'll give them a mask, and they'll just make a green version with white skin, a yellow version with black skin, a red version with yellow skin, and then that way they could have many different races of people, but it's actually just the same character model, but they just change the color. So this individual, they did the same thing. They had all these ninja women characters, and then they made one with very dark skin and very generic face, very generic hair, whatever it is. And then now they're trying to up the models to make them look real. People are not best pleased that they're getting. So they're okay with seeing a dark skin character looks like when when she's got like a mask on her face, and I guess they assume she's a tan white woman or something like this. I don't know what they're assuming. But obviously, when you actually can see this is a black woman, like she has black features, black hair, black bones, just black woman. People say now, oh, they're not best pleased. This woman looks aggressive. This woman looks ugly. Let's carry on listening for a bit.
I think for a lot of people, it makes them feel better because the ones who do like it, because it's like, oh, I'm not threatened by a character on a screen. Like, I don't feel like it's not encouraging me to go to the gym. It's not encouraging me to clean up my diet. It's not encouraging me to be healthy. It's not encouraging me to shower and to try to look my best. So because of that, if I'm playing a game and every character is ugly, then I don't feel threatened about being lazy, about not caring about my own appearance. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people, especially when you look at
the character. For those who know, it looks like a black woman with some African hairstyle, and she kind of looks like they based on like the Wakanda kind of warrior princess people. So people saying she looks lazy, ugly, whatever it is. I'm asking the question: is it just inherent conscious biasness towards black phenotype, especially women? And the thing is, I'm looking, there's hundreds of European and people with the same opinion. But what's shocking is I'm seeing a couple black men and I think even one or two black women co-signed this stuff. Once again, this is the gaming industry, so a lot can happen in the game industry without anyone knowing because it's like a side thing on its own. But it came up on the feed, so I thought I'll cover it because it kind of correlates with the attack on black women.
What the gaming industry is run by. Of course, not everybody, but there is a lot more.
So yeah, the question is people literally catching feelings over the video game Kiss My Teeth? Yeah. So what you got to understand is there's a side of the internet like which is known as nerd culture, nerdcore, or nerd something, right? And it's huge. It's like, and a lot of them are old. They're guys who and girls who would have been into games, cartoons in the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, whatever, and they're older and they're still into it, whatever it is. And what it is what I'm realizing is a tremendous amount of them are actually white supremacists, and a lot of them have waged a war on like the LGBT agenda community, and then they're using the term war against woke. So the word woke that was used in the black community is now being equated to like the LGBT agenda, and that agenda itself is like an intersectional agenda. So, for example, they'll be pushing like lesbian black women and non-binary this person. And then also they'll try to break down things. So they'll try to have less model-looking people and more, normal weight, normal stuff. So it's like a whole lot of things happen at once, but it's primarily led by the LGBT community and the nerd community, who are pretty much co-signing white supremacy for all of them. They're not best pleased, and this game stuff correlates with it. So they will look at this black character as part of the LGBT community of trying to get more, and they'll say quote, and they'll use the rabbit hand stuff, and they say, look, they turn everyone black now, like they made her black, and she's a black African looking woman, and this other guy is gay, and they'll just collate all this stuff together. So they're not best pleased, but the thing is, another thing you have to understand about the whole nerd culture as well is when a lot of the stuff is made in Asia, and what Asia tends to do is they'll make characters of that have white skin and multicolor hair, like blonde, brown, whatever, and they'll do the face in a generic way. So that person could either be Asian or white. And the Europeans are best pleased with this, and the Asians are best pleased because they can sell a product in both Asia and the West, and they don't have to modify anything because the people can imagine that this character is them. But where it becomes hard is when the characters become like darker skin or have afros. Then they can clearly see that this character isn't them, and then you start seeing certain things about if a character they thought before wasn't that, and now there is. And this is that case where they saw a dark-skinned woman with long straight hair, and they assumed it was a black woman in the olden days, a white woman, sorry, with a tan, only to find out actually it's a black woman, but they just didn't have enough polygons to animate her. But yeah, so let me listen to a bit more of this before we jump on.
Those blue-haired land whales that we talk about, or the they, them, made-up genders, transgender.
So once again, she's talking about this. So you see how, and this is why the whole LGBT thing, what's happening is the LGBT stuff, they're uniting with like the feminine and the black feminine movements, and they're having their coalition and intersectional stuff. And as they're moving forward, they're affecting, I guess, many different people like the nerd community, and they're striking back. But what will happen is they're going to strike back at black people, because black people are used as kind of like the buffer shield. Like, like if you've got like a film and the film says, you need to have a disabled person, a black person, a woman, and a homosexual, they'll probably roll in a black woman in a wheelchair who's a homosexual. So they tick all the boxes. So then obviously the black woman will then get the blunt of it because it's actually a black woman. And so these techniques they do, and we watched a few months back some stolen Disney videos of them saying, some women in there saying how they're going to try to get as many LGBT characters as main characters and LGBT topics as main topics. And there was one or two black women on the board who were like, yeah, this is what we want to do, and I identify as this gender, that gender, and it'll be good to have my story there, this kind of stuff. So that then becomes the firing line of what the nerd community go for. And this is also correlated with that by seeing characters who look African.
All of that. And so you have an influx of that. A bunch of, like, honestly, just really fat people. That's just where it's going because this fat movement.
So this woman's talking about, she's anti-out of shape fat. The woman who she's mocking, the black woman, is a very in shape warrior looking, kind of like the Wakanda ladies. That's literally what they're bold. I can clearly see that's what they're going for. So this is what she's talking about.
We should not be encouraging that. We just should. People are still human beings, but should we encourage it? No. So because of that, I do think that is one reason why we're seeing a lot of this kind of stuff. Is that okay? If the characters look bad.
So essentially, what's happening is you have European people very used to seeing Europeanness in media, and now they're seeing different stuff, and they're just collating everything different. So a black woman, a fat woman, a gay man, a rhinoceros, whatever. They're just gonna lump it together and woke. This is essentially what's happening.
Then we don't feel the pressure to look good. But on the racist topics, this tweet just hit the nail on the head, in my opinion. He says, she looks like one of those racist drawings. I don't know what this means. Would draw to make fun of minorities. But does she not, though? If you think about those old racist caricature drawings, does she not? It's like they took every stereotype caricature because people are like, oh, you're racist. You don't like her because she has African features, the full lips, the wide nose, all that. Well, the lips, it's not even just full lips. It's that her face is so narrow that her.
I said, yeah, your picture is showing. You're in the forum now. My screen is so small that when you came, I couldn't see you, but I did see your message to say you're in. Yeah, so this one's talking about African lips. I know this is interesting stuff. Welcome, Empress. I don't know if you can hear us, but if you can, let us know. If not, we'll see if we can.
Hi.
There you go. It works. We're carrying into this woman for a bit, and you can jump where you want, but she's now talking about black lips. Let's carry on.
Mouth is taking up a good 30% of her entire face. It's the mouth.
This is very interesting what she said.
Mouth is huge, not just full lips. The mouth is gigantic. She has a horse face. You know what? This isn't a real person. Don't come at me. This isn't a real person. And if she's modeled after a real person, which I've seen, the real person looks so much better. So miss me with that. But they gave her a.
So yeah, for those who don't know that, basically, there's a game called Mortal Kombat. So it's a very famous fighting game. And what they've done is they introduce new characters every week before the game comes out, and they've introduced a black character called Tanya. And this is not a new character. This is an old character from a few years back, but these kind of characters were ninjas. So what they do, they would wear like things around their face, so you never really saw their face. But now they're revealing the ninjas, and people are seeing the face, and they're not best pleased. When I look at this woman, it looks like a very attractive black woman, but there is a plethora of Europeans and some black stations who are saying this is unacceptable. The woman looks ugly, and I'm trying to break down what is it about this woman that looks ugly apart from having black features. I don't understand. Even if she does look ugly, but she doesn't, so what? It's a video game. She's a warrior. Why would that matter? But either way, and what I'm saying is this, we could be highlighting a lot of the unconscious bias that people have towards African features, and games are no different. We are in 2023. Most games look more like people nowadays. So what are they complaining for? Yeah, I think they complain because it's a black woman. It's just that plain simple. That the original character they assumed was a tanned white woman, and now that she's a black woman, they're not displeased.
Horse face. It's just extremely long, extremely narrow, so that her features, which already are dominant, look even more so because her face is so narrow. So yeah, it's making her look like a caricature. It looks ridiculous, and her eyes look squinty to boot, so it's not even helping balance it. It's like, let's just make the mouth the biggest feature to where it's covering most of her face. And so by giving her such beady little eyes and all that, and such a narrow and long face, it is making that mouth look like her whole face. And not only that, but look how she just looks angry. Look how she just, and that's a.
Keep in mind, this is a scene taken from a game where a woman jumps in to defend another woman and kills a whole lot of bodyguards. So you're witnessing a woman in a fight. So when they say angry, I'm assuming the woman might be in a fight. Keep in mind this is a video game, but we're just case studying how people talk about black features. I guess unconsciously.
Another stereotype that black women constantly.
And this is just one woman, but this is across the board. I came across like they're all in unison. And obviously, the biggest shock was there was black people who were co-signing.
Constantly faces the angry black woman trope.
This correlates to our topic, like who should be defending black women. That's the question.
So that's exactly what's going on here. And so here we have. She has I believe she's a black woman, judging by her profile and her picture and everything. She goes, folks in my mention, she finally looks like a black woman. Why can't Tanya look like an attractive, feminine black woman rocking a sexy silk press? Why is it necessary?
What's a silk press? What does that mean?
To put locks in her hair.
Did you say why did you have to put locks in her hair? What is that? Is a silk press? Is that perm? I don't know the terms. Is that a perm? Is this woman saying why she got natural hair?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Silk press is like when you straighten your hair. Not necessarily by chemicals, but you straighten your hair. Maybe like
so what they're saying, they're not best pleased with the African locks. They want the silk thing. Okay. And this is a black woman who's saying this allegedly on this forum.
Y'all know nothing about black women or our hairstyles. And she's right, because people who are going to complain about theirs or about the calling us racist and stuff like that are primarily going to be those white SJW types, right? I don't even think locks are bad, but the ones they gave her are ugly. You know? And also because of the fact that the character already had that silk pressed hair, had her hairstyle like this. That's another thing is I feel like a lot of these video game companies, they feel like they're going to get backlash if they don't give their black female characters the natural hair. And I do think the natural hair can be really beautiful. Like even look in this case, but just because they don't like, there's women have a variety of different hairstyles, black women too. Like some of them want the silk pressed hair, and that's fine. It's pretty. Look at this. This is pretty.
So, I mean, she's putting a picture of like a generic 2001 polygon picture of a character where the issue with the games back in the day was they would just have one model kind of picture for everyone. So the game Mortal Kombat is allegedly based in Chinese mythology. So what's happening now? All the characters have to look Chinese. Back in the day, they were generically white. But now, because the polygons are a higher ratio, people are realizing they were Chinese. Either Chinese or something else, right? But generally Chinese or Asian. So all these characters were just like template models that they changed the skin color and the hair color. They didn't, and they all had a book standing generic feature, which for the most part was European, even though all of them are either alien or Asian.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Remember.
Very common. Yeah. You remember, yeah? Yeah. So I remember watching the film as well. I watched them. This was back in the day, Mortal Kombat film. But anyway, but what I'm saying is, I'm just showing you the nerdcore community, and how right wing it is, and how they will casually undermine black features without. I don't know if they care. They know it's not that matters, but I'm more interested in the black people co-signing it, because obviously there's nerdcore people, black nerdcore people, and once again, without any knowledge of self, they will co-sign this woman here saying, "Why does she have African locks? She should have silk perm," or whatever the word was, silky something. Yeah, let's carry on this for a bit more, then we'll just open up.
And so Tanya here, that's how she had her hair. What's wrong with that? Why does that need to be changed? Why can't, and people who are obsessed with representation, why can't black girls who want to get silk pressed hair, why can't they see a character that is pretty like that, And I don't even think the whole representation argument I think is that, like, you can find a bunch of my other videos talking about that, but still, as a whole, it's like when you're creating characters and a variety of different characters and in a fighting game cast and stuff, it's cool to see a variety of characters. But I just feel like black women get the short end of the stick a lot when it comes to character design. And here they have a beautiful one and they had to uglify.
So she had a generic picture of what could be a black woman or a dark-skinned woman, and then now they've got an African featured woman, and she's called the African featured one ugly, and the European looking esque one attractive. And she goes, black people are being represented. So what I'm saying is, even in the very nature of these people, they will mock you. They won't even know they're doing it, allegedly. So, very telling, very telling. And that's why, ultimately, even though we're saying this, the true solution comes from black ownership, meaning black people making black content and being pro-black, B1, Pan-Africanized, and because you're Afro-centered, all your women and men will be obviously African descent, and they'll all be, culturally appropriate, and you'll be doing things that is beneficial rather than reliant on non-black people to try to do a representation of you. Then that triggers other people in their community to make videos and bombard, and they use terms like anti-woke and all this kind of funny stuff, right? The true solution is black ownership. That's the true solution. Let me skip ahead. Let's see if anything changes there. Let me just. So there's another picture of the woman. Looks like a black attractive woman.
Because her features match her face more. When her face is longer and more narrow.
That's the woman that they're saying is unattractive.
Yeah, so that woman there, they're saying that's an unattractive woman.
Oh, that could pass as our relatives, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Give me 5 seconds, actually. Yeah, I'll fix that. Yeah, so that could pass as our relatives, right?
Yeah.
So you don't understand. There's a massive backlash. Yeah, a massive backlash about the look of this woman. The lips, the nose, the hairstyle, the clothing. It's a massive. Let me just give a text first. I think I'm getting this call. Okay. Family. Hold on. I'm online.
That's mad. That is. That's
yeah.
I can't believe it, man. That's family there, man.
You know what I mean? Well, what's happening is I'm looking at these European, and I was going to collect a lot of pictures, but I'm looking at all these kind of European women just making shows saying the ugly character, and I'm like, and then they'll put, like, you can see here, there's a character to the left and there's a lady to the right, and I don't really like looking at people, and it's not really something I wish to do, but you could do that, and you could say, well, who you look at, there's two women on the screen. How is the one on the right got confidence to call the one on the left ugly at all?
That's weird. That is,
but this is what I'm seeing, and then my concern is that black people co-sign.
But at the same time, their self-esteem, isn't it, is based upon the character assassination of black women. So they have to practice that unethical code, because the black woman, because of she's the first in historical things, and that it will be easy for the men them to lap onto it. Remember, because she's genetically dominant, as you know, that's why they cannot really be with her in that way, because she just increases a lot of more black people, so they have to kind of use these tactics. But I can't see anything wrong with this this character on the screen. As I said, it just looks like one of my relatives, man.
Yeah, and there's now campaigns to say this woman is grotesque and inappropriate for a fighting video game.
It's really making her mouth look gigantic. As
she's very fixed out on this gigantic mouth.
Before.
When I go to and I see on the wall all these surgeries and these Eastern European women and now East End European women and I don't know the technology because I'm not really around like that, but I'm aware they're going to these places to do something to their lips to make it as big as possible. So to hear this woman try to mock the big features of the woman here is very interesting, because I see many Europeans from all over the place spending a fortune to try to have some short-term kind of like, not duck, but it has very duck persona, like the way it ends up looking.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, that not sounding horrid, but and obviously this is the Europeans trying to mimic certain black features.
The black woman, yeah.
So for this woman to then mock, yeah. Man,
that's a brother, man. That's strange. That is, man. There's nothing wrong with this character at all. No. You know what I mean? And that, so it's just, you can tell it's just unethical code of conduct, man. You know, because as you were saying with Mortal Kombat, I mean, Mortal Kombat 1, the only character I remember in there was it Jax?
Yes.
And Kano.
Yes.
Kano kind of looked a little bit like us as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just remember them two.
Yeah, Jax. There was Jax and Kano. He did look like he had African in him. Jax was definitely a black guy. And then what they would do, they'll make these ninja characters. So they would make these ninja characters with masks on, right? And then they introduce women ninja characters similar, right? But with those women characters, because they had masks on, all you could see was their skin color. You couldn't see their hair or their face. So all the characters that were dark in melanin, nowadays they remove the mask and you see the black face now. But people are not best pleased because in those days they could imagine it as a white woman with a tan. You see what I'm saying? But now because it's a black woman, they're not best pleased.
Look at do you remember Shiva, that character?
That with the 4 hands. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they made her look like, one of the sisters as well.
They did.
They
did, yeah.
She had the, you know what I mean, the braids, etc. and that all, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, man, it's definitely unethical code of conduct, man. Because I know Mortal Kombat 2, as you're saying, it was that was the animality one, wasn't it? And that, but they're all wearing the ninja thing.
Yeah.
And number 3, but I'm sure one of them ninjas, the females one, they did have like a dark complexion.
Yeah,
was it Jade?
Yeah, Jade had a dark complexion, and Tanya.
Yeah.
So this is Tanya. So Tanya was later on, and Jade. But as far as I'm concerned, their skin, they're either black women or Indians from South India. That's the only 2 people they could possibly be, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any Indians like ninjas anywhere. So them being black seems to be the natural thing, especially now because a lot of these women are based upon Wakanda style. So since Wakanda became very big, whenever they make warrior women, they use that Wakanda style as the template. You know what I mean? Which of course that template it comes from Benin, women in Benin, and that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's what they're doing. But once again, the Europeans are not best pleased.
And again, not about the thick lips. Thick lips are great, but it's that they made her mouth too big for her head. So that can happen with any race. People can have those features, but even so, like to that degree, that's not very common to have. Yeah, it'd be like if my eyes were closed.
Yeah, the black man with the robotic arms is called Jax.
My face was like this. I don't know. I have a small mouth though, so it's different. But anyway, I wanted to close with this video from.
I haven't seen this, but it looks like she's going to click on a black person. It might be a black woman or a black man. I can't see here. But remember, this show is about who should be defending black women from racists. And obviously, the concern we have is where you have black people co-signing racists. We started the show with an Arab man mocking black women. We might play it again for those who hasn't heard. But we're saying you cannot be co-signing or making content to support anti-black women features. But let's see, because I haven't heard this, so let's see what happens there.
Mugen, pronouncing that right. I just found him because
there's a huge black nerd community, huge. They go unheard of, but it's about getting them on
of this stuff, and his content, from what I've seen in this little clip, I just feel like was so well said. So I encourage you to check out his channel, because I know I'm showing his stuff here, but check out his channel for more.
Is this guy perm this hair as
but
well?
I wanted to just share what he said here.
Maybe you can make an excuse and say it's just flat out incompetence, or maybe that the technology isn't there. But then you have to ask yourself, what about Japanese studios or Eastern developer studios and how they depict their women in video games? Because perfect example, Hideo Kojima in his studio, they mostly use motion capture technology to take real life people and put them into their fantasy worlds. And you look at the character named Quiet in the Metal Gear series, she looks exactly like her real life counterpart. You also look at the female characters in Death Stranding, they look just as feminine and attractive that you would see in their real life counterpart. Look at Rye, and also the male.
Makes some great points here. Yeah, and I like too that he highlights the male characters.
Maybe it's just been missing this, but all this handsome, pretty stuff they're saying, they're just showing Europeans
as well, because so many people want to call the misogynist card, but they don't want to see uglification.
So we saw a black man with a perm. Well, you know, people have hairstyles, you know, Rick James, that kind of stuff. But I don't know if that was the same gentleman who was not best pleased that the character had African locks and was suggesting they make the hair silky. I'm not too sure. But once again, that's why having the knowledge itself is handy, but I could be wrong.
Of male characters either. These guys don't. I don't either. And again, it doesn't make us these Coomer brain pervs for wanting the characters to be nice to look at. It's just like you would look at art or something. You like to look at things that are nice to look at. It doesn't mean this is some weird degenerate thing.
Characters look just as handsome and as attractive as their real life counterparts. So why is it when it comes to Western studios, they have this weird asphyxiation of just taking female characters and making them as hideous as possible, while when it comes to their male counterpart, they're either untouched, or when it comes to objectification, it's been cranked up a notch. And we're supposed to be completely fine with that?
So well said. Bravo. I encourage you to watch the entire YouTube video for that and check out his channel. So anyway, there you have it for today's video.
We'll still be there. Cool. For those who are new, we're gonna play the Arab video that was on earlier, just for those who didn't hear it. We're talking about who. Go ahead, brother.
I'm trying to find that video, you know, brother Raven. I may have to send it through email, but I can't find it. That video where the Arab women are saying that, you know, they don't want more black women coming in Arabia because they're gonna steal our men. You know, I'm trying to get that video. I know it was 50 minutes.
I'll download it. I mean, I might be able to play it next week. Unless you send it now, I can download it as you speak and see what happens. But just let me know if or when you send it, and I'll see what I can do. But for those who join in now, we're going to listen to, well, it's only 2 minutes. We're going to listen to an Arab man or a man of Arab descent of some kind, just trying to get famous of mocking black women. But we're more concerned about black men who co-sign it, black men who don't defend it, the black men who know this man and hasn't actually corrected him. So let's see if I can.
This is the reason why men don't want to date black women. Everyone listen carefully, okay? It's not racism. I'm not racist. My friends aren't racist. I'm speaking for all men. They're not racist, right? It's nothing to do with racism. It's to do with being masculine and aggressive. No guy wants to date a woman who's so masculine and aggressive. The average woman, the black American woman, is 180 pounds. Man's coming like Israel Adesanya, middleweight UFC champion. I don't want to date Israel Adesanya. 180 pounds. That's average. That's crazy, meaning more than half of the black American women are above 180. They're coming like Brock Lesnar. And the problem is they're looking up to people like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. Cardi B has literally been on interview saying multiple times how she's drugged people, stole their money, done all these horrible things. And you have all these black women saying she's the queen, she's the queen. The problem with so many of these black women is they're so fat and bulky, right? And they're acting like, why am I not being treated like this European model? Because you're not a model. It's nothing to do with your color. It's just she's a beautiful model. She looks amazing. You are.
Once again, just like the last video, you see how they reference ugliness with blackness. And even though this guy's Arab himself, when he's describing beauty, he's going straight to European. You see, and he's example.
Are massive. Oh, but I'm big boned. Look, black people have great genetics. They're very strong. But the problem is with black.
Also, when non-black people compliment you, it's usually in a trail of other things. So it'd be like, oh, you're very strong, you're very energetic, but really, it's like you're good enough to work for us. That that you're strong enough to carry our luggage, kind of stuff. It's never like, oh, because you see that they'll always talk about, Chinese people are smart, white people are this, black people are fast, or black people are muscly. Saying it's always like a backhanded compliment.
Black women is it just makes them go so crazy and psycho, and they want to beat everyone up, and they become so aggressive. Relax. No one's trying to take your chicken. You just need to.
So that joke there, no trying to take your chicken, the fact that it rolled off his tongue so calmly. This man is deep in anti-black rhetoric, to the point where I'm not gonna say he doesn't know it. He's just of it. So that's natural. Especially when you start drawing for chicken and you're mentioning black people, you're already you've done your research on how to mistreat black people.
Relax a minute. That's why people don't want to date you. It's not because of how you.
I think I showed a video of this guy last week of where he has a show. He did the same thing. He goes, "Who wants to date black women?" And everyone's saying no. All the white men are saying no. All the Arabs are saying no. And I think one white man says yes, and then they throw him in the pool. Like, how dare you say you like black women? So already you're seeing they're trying to. And one of the people from in the pool was a so-called biracial, light-skinned black person who's known for being self-hating and really kind of white-faced. I don't know what the word. I don't want to use certain terms. What term can I use? He's very European, immolating, I should say, right? So let's carry on the last second.
It's not because of your skin color. It's nothing to do with racism at all. Read the whiteboard if you're getting confused.
Right, and that's it there.
This is the reason why men don't want to date.
Stop it. Yes. So the question we're answering is, who should defend black women from the attacks and slander of racists? And I think one of the things I'm trying to get black men to do, just awareness, is to try to, if you see any black person mocking black women, no co-signing, no but that he's true when he's talking about aggressive, or he's true when he's talking about weight and all this kind of stuff, right? Off code, it's not true. And even if it was true, it's not for him to say. Remember, men like him, they'll be on the internet for 50 years. They'll never once mock their own women. They'll never once mock anything. They will fight to defend their women and the dress code of their women and the lifestyle of their women and the chastity of their women, all that kind of stuff, right? But with black women, it's free for all, open game. Was it? I bet he's North African and we would still date them. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Like, the best defense a black people can have when it comes to this stuff is by liking yourself, by preferencing yourself. You don't then need to be humbled by others. So if you love yourself, you don't need the co-signing of non-black people. But I think, unfortunately, there's many people that want to believe that, love is blind and I can be with anyone. And then what happens, you come across as quite fortunate and needy when you're in the face of these guys. One thing we don't want to do, I remember there's like a white racist. I see videos of, and then there were black women, or one black woman at least, who was asking him, would you date me? Why wouldn't you date me? Don't ask those questions. I strongly recommend you do not do that. That is no question you should be asking someone. Why would you ask a anti-black racist why wouldn't they date you? What kind of relationship could you have with such a it shows the mindset, it shows subservience. I would, try to think of that and correct it if possible. Definitely something there. So we're joined by Empress Kushti and Brother Kinkel. Would you like to chime in your thoughts and anytime, family? Anything you would like to add to these two topics, or add anything else?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah. I just kind of zoned out. I couldn't even hear the Arab man speak again, disrespecting black women. That was a lot of black hate in one sentence. I was like,
Yeah.
I heard it the first time, but to me, like the first time I heard it, to be honest, I just rolled my eyes. I think the elephant in the room with him is just that he just sounds like Kevin Samuels and a whole bunch of black men who were freely able to disrespect black women and was cheered. Like most of his stats are the same old rhetoric that you'd hear from the same old. I don't know if the man spirit is even still breathing or living, but it just sounds like all from that. So why wouldn't he do it when? Do you know what I mean? There's black men are clearly able to just disrespect their black women. Like the overweight thing, I've heard Sarah say it. I've heard other people say it. So to me, it's just this is what happens. You know, this was bound to happen. What did we expect that other races will see black men openly disrespect black women and they wouldn't do it? So I think like that's a point because you know the rhetoric that he's saying, the confidence that he's saying it's even very what's that man's name that's been arrested but's been let out? Tate. It's very Andrew Tate-ish as well. Like it's just it's all of that wrapped up in one to me. So that's just another example of just, you know, a failure of no gatekeeping and monkey see, monkey do. You know, they saw a bunch of black men doing it, so why can't he? So that's what I see on that one.
I'm going to agree with you in the sense of the boldness and you know that we saw it with the pearly girl, anti-racist lady. We see it now. It's just you know because to be honest, like I want to be honest, it isn't that it starts out as black men doing this. What happens is black men seeking validation from non-black people get kind of easily swindled, easily manipulated. So you have white men saying we have issues with modern women, and then you have black men want to stay with them and say yes we do, but then they can't get to the same echelon as the white men, so they do their own thing. But now it's the black men talking about black women, while the white men was talking about women in general. They'll never preface that with white women. They go, it's just a women's thing. While black men, it'll be a black woman thing, and then it will be you'll then invite white women on to be kind of like the mascots of your your ideas and your shows, and those white women have a history of anti-black racism. And the issue the thing to learn is all these racist guys like you see on the nerdcore movement and you see on these shows whatever, they're exceptionally loyal to their own people. Like the Pearly thing is a brilliant case study because at no point has she disowned, disemboweled, disconnected from a man who admits I am anti-Semitic, I'm anti-black, I do not want to mix with, I don't want to do stuff, I'm against this, I am a white supremacist. Someone who's 100% that way inclined, she's like, no, he's my friend, and I'm not gonna whatever. So it shows you the commitment she has for a man in her same kind of race. But in our community now, as soon as she first came out and had it on the show, you had 20 men on one side versus 20 men on one side. I can't recall. I'm trying to think of when that was the case for black women, right? Where they're trying to defend black women at this mass number, but there literally was civil wars where you have like 5 men on one corner, 5 men on the other corner, one defending, one saying she's not racist, and then now you had that English guy, I forgot his name, King Richards, I think it was, and I think he's now disconnected from her. And then there was also an elderly lady we called Auntie something, and I spoke to her for briefly before I left the show. I remember I spoke to her briefly, but she's like, yeah, I'm disconnected from her. But when we told them that no, there's a pattern here, they wouldn't have understood that they literally need to see a white woman with a swastika and like a decapitated man's head. They literally need to see that to go, oh, she doesn't respect black people. Oh.
Yeah, I think I think as a black woman, I feel like that's why I don't think even when all of this kicked off, you don't really see black women saying anything because when they were saying this, this is just old news. Do you know what I mean? So I understand that part of it, because black women, I could see it. It was soon like, this is what I'm saying. This was just foolishness. Like, anyway, so that's why it's gone into what it's gone into. But I think I don't necessarily agree that it's not a black thing, because as you said, when this thing started off, and this incel thing, it was a very white insular. It wasn't a whole of the white men. It was very much a small population of white men who were quote unquote nerds. They were isolated through society. They didn't have sociable skills. They didn't have friends, and the internet was their domain. I think a lot of us have forgotten that. Like, when the internet first came out, it was full of people who were tech wizards and nerds, because that was their only form of socializing, while the rest of us were out in the world. That was their thing. So, and it's been their thing. So it's no surprise me that they've got issues, like it's an issue type of group. It wouldn't surprise me if they're racist, because it was just a bunch of white nerds who couldn't get anywhere. The problem was why, and those kind of people have been around from beginning of time to the end of time. Not once. It's only now that black men decided to join them. We've had nerds and people who are antisocial and everything else before. Not once did you see black men saying, yeah, I'm an incel. Yeah, they were never associated to it. This day and age right here, right now, is definitely black men taking on that mantelpiece. They didn't have to. Like you said, they just said women. They didn't have to say white women, because everyone knew who they were talking about, because that's all they were interested in. Black men had no business being in that group. And that group has told them that, like, the actual real life group that they're trying to mimic are racist to them. And the Pearl things, and like you said, and all the stuff that we know since then, is another excuse. At the end of the day, this man is not saying that about his own women. He's saying with his mouth and his chest, black women are fat, they're this, they're that. He's not talking about women. He can only do that because black men have done that about their own women, because it's just fair game. Everyone's used to dissing. What is the penalty of dissing a black woman? Nothing. You can even get your quote unquote black friend to come and co-sign it, like we've seen several times. King Richard, Zara, how many others? So yeah, bro, like, to me, yeah, I do think it's a black male thing. They dropped the ball. They should never have become an incel. They should never have had this quote unquote manosphere. Like, black man's had the same issues that black men are complaining about now is the same issues they had 20 years ago, 10 years ago. They didn't call themselves incel. They didn't have this anti-black women rhetoric and all of this hate. Like, it's the same thing that they've been complaining about. It's not some brand new thing. Why all of a sudden now would you call yourself? And then to be shocked that I'm like, I listened to it the first time. To be honest with you, bro, I genuinely wasn't even shocked. Because as a black woman, this happens every other month anyways. He needs to get a get up. The best way to get a get up without getting any kinds of penalties is to diss a black woman. That's it. Like, I'm not surprised. A couple of months ago, they were up in arms about the mermaid being black. A couple of months before that, I could give you another example. As a black woman, I'm used to seeing this every other month about black women. There's always something about black women. There's nothing that prompted him to do this. He just got up one day and decided that I'm going to do a live stream and I'm going to disrespect black women. It wasn't from off of anything. There wasn't no sensational story. That's how easy it is now.
Yeah, I think if we unpack,
he's very large as well, as what Raven saw. Is definitely to get clout, because they are very massive. It's an epidemic of sugar out there. So, you know, for him to kind of say, "Oh, the black woman's that," it's kind of strange, because, you know, it's no different if you want to go down that path. So it's definitely, man, I agree with that, man. It's using the black woman. That's why, you know, in the panels, Brother Raven, why, you know, like how we are, why I try my best not to go engage in any form of conflict with some of the Sun sisters, because it's easy and it's very kind of entertaining for people.
They love it
to see the black woman. So it's like I try my best to be very kind of shy towards it, even if it looks like I'm being attacked, right? Because I know, you know, I know that it's marketable, man. It's we gotta stop it, man.
They love it. Like, I swear, they love. I've seen chats where they're just solely talking about problems of black people within the community, and I'll see every other community in those chats. There is nothing that pushes me to go into a YouTube channel that's solely for Arabs, solely for Turkish people, and sit there and comment on their business and be there for hours. But with Black people, we attract them continuously, and it's a problem. And I've been saying this for a while. Like, I know I get it that, you know, where we are the people and stuff like that, but there's something more to that. Because if you really think to yourself, when's the last time you sat down in a Mandarin chat and talked to, and heard about a bunch of men Mandarin and female Mandarin Chinese people talk about their issues? When have you sat in a Turkish chat? When have you sat into a racist white chat and really sat in there for hours and listened to them? But all of those races I've seen in Black chats and sitting in there and commenting.
Yeah. Well, you've seen the forums we jump on, and they're there, right?
Exactly.
They're
and we would never do it to them. So what is it about us? So of course, when it comes to our conflict, it's like they're getting popcorn out. They love it. They know our words. They know our intricacies. They know what we don't like, or what we as a community can't take or disrespect. They'll even have a cheek to tell you that somebody else is a coon or a sellout. They're that comfortable.
Well,
that's true.
I mean, this guy did his research. He was saying things about, I'm not going to steal your chicken. You know, he's already done his anti-Black racism research. And you're right. It's the ease of which someone knows they can escalate through the algorithms, and they know that there is no comeuppance. So, for example, you couldn't diss one of his women without them going up for one, right?
Look what happened to that Black guy that you mentioned. Was it the YouTuber? The famous one, the British speaking one. You know, is it KSI? And he said something about Asians, and he had to do an apology tour.
Who's that?
You know the Black one. He's like private educated. If it's not KSI, it's the Black version of it. Someone will know I'm talking about. I think he's got that Prime drink. Is that him? He's a big, like, he's doing boxing now. He's like one of the big.
Yes. He's got a white friend, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. He said something about Asians, like Pakistani, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And he had to go to the apology tour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, we see it with the Jewish and the Chinese. So this is what I'm saying about. I think educated Black men know how power works. Look, this show starts with the truth that Black people are collectively inadequate, right? And this is a natural thing because very few people have been really bombarded at the level. And even now we're describing, we're saying you're right. Like when Black people come together to fix things, there are many non-Black people around there trying to get involved. While you go to Speaker's Corner, you got the Arabs to the left, the Asians to the right, the Jews to the right. No one's in the business, but in the Black business, everyone's there. They've got their 10 pence piece, you know, and they're all fine to have other people in there, this kind of stuff. And even when they try to disrupt it, you'll see things like they'll try to get their Black friend to co-sign them, and I remember
that's right.
Like I remember there was Black Arab guy they would use to fight. That's a big Black Arab. Of course, he's a nice guy, but they would get this big. I remember in Speaker's Corner, they used to get this big Black Arab guy. No, I say he's not Arab. They get this big Black guy converted to Islam, and the Arabs would use him to come in and fight for the right to have Arabs in the discussion. It was weird. And then I remember like bikes were flying, people would push each other. Luckily, this wasn't. I think actually it might have actually been captured on camera too. I think it was. I remember there's a few. I'm thinking. So we're having a conversation about Black betterment, and now there's a fight because Arabs want to control. It's weird.
Not even fight, bro. They're starting infighting within us.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer, literally.
I mean, the thing is, it's actually on the internet. We won't get it, but I remember I was there because I was had to calm this guy down and pull the bike off him and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, you tell me you've come in to throw bikes at people and fight with Black people, and the question is how to improve the Black community. And I remember there was this one guy. This is interesting thing. Maybe I should get that video. There was, I don't know who he was, some random Arab dude. I remember when I was talking about Black love, and I think there was a few other guys there, and he was literally foaming from the mouth, saying that, oh well, you know, if you see a beautiful woman from any race, you would want them. Black men would want them, and you shouldn't just want Black women. And he was really invested in me not promoting Black love to Black men. He was really invested. He was saying, you know, what if you see a beautiful woman and she was naked, you would want to and we're saying, mate, we're talking about meaningful relationships and we're okay over here. And he was literally foaming from the mouth. And I'm thinking, why was he so invested in making black men not love black women? Very peculiar. Very peculiar.
Probably because I just think it's when those people is like only hit the collar. Most of those people are the people that are in those relationships, so it hits them a bit different sometimes, I find, or that that's what they want. So now it's a whole, when it's really about you and a you problem, now it's a whole problem where we should all, the colour don't matter, we should all think this way. Why? Because that's your personal desires, it's just, I feel like that's what it is more times, because the ones that I've seen that you get the most passionate responses from in the past, I've later found out that because that's their flavor, that's what they're dabbling in. And like I said so many times before, I do think that when you talk about someone staying within the community and stuff like that, or anything best for the community, and they're dating out, they see it as a direct result attack on their blackness. Like they can't hear it any other way.
I was telling Brother Raven in the Middle East is that great grandmother of the Arabs was from Egypt, and so there before all this is that a lot of the Afro Arabs are were worshipped, all those statues, etc. and that. So there has to be some form of unethics on that, due to the fact that because a lot of the African women are into the Middle East, these little pale Arab boys are watching their have sex with the black woman, and they're seeing their mothers in distress. So you've got the historical of the black one there first, and then you've got the mistreatment of the fathers desiring them. So it's more to do with the fact of use up with their first. You know what I mean? That's the primal thing of it. And I was trying to tell Brother Ruben, there's a video I can't find. Hopefully, I don't take it out. Where you've got pale Arab women saying, "Is that we don't want other black women coming into Saudi Arabia because they're going to steal our men." There was a phobia. She was screaming everything. But I'm gonna try and get that video. Now I'm real beloved. That was what she said on there. She was there was 5 of them, and they were panicking. Do you understand? Basically, the Afro Arabs have always been with Afro Arab women, and the other black tribes say there is a character assassination because the self-esteem of the pale Arab woman is based upon the black woman's character. Try and get the video.
Absolutely. I've been saying that there's been a problem with Egypt as well. And it's it's just coming out. I think to me this is just a result of people are seeing things that they're not used to, especially like in the gaming world as well. They're not used to seeing, and I know that there's a great movement. It's Black Women Who Game. And I know the woman who's like one of the head of there, she's very conscious. And they have had, I'm not really into the gaming, but she'd be a great person to probably talk to about it, or even anyone out there who's interested in that to look it up. Because she just saw that there was loads of black women who are interested in gaming and no entry point or no community. And she's doing great. They're getting sponsorships and everything now in regards to gaming and opening up that arena for black women in gaming. And I think she's trying to link in and do a male version as well. So and it's very interesting, even when she was talking about the dating aspect, and she's like, the connotations that a nerd is ugly is very fake as well, because there are some beautiful women that are just into gaming, right? So but it's very interesting. Because she's stunning. But it was very interesting. She was telling me a story about how all of this thing about black women always wanting a certain type. And she was saying that how it's so interesting as a gamer, because you'll be playing a game and it's a sea full of white men, and as a black woman I still want to be with a black man, she was telling me, because she's very conscious. But when she does find a black man that she's interested, she goes, guess what he wants? The blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, right?
If you
because obviously
if you could, afterwards, message me her details.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah.
Her mum
Carry
is
on, though, carry on.
her mum's very big as well. Her mum's gone to Gambia and she's got a whole setup as well. So you'll probably know him when I send it to you.
Oh, not now you mention it. That's sounding quite familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very cool with them. But so it's, you know, and this is what I'm saying about we are breaking into these worlds. So it'll be interesting to hear someone who's actually in that game, in that world talking, because I know that they were saying that there has been a push. There has been a big push in regards to the imagery of black women in gaming. It's been poor. So, do you know what I mean? I know that that has been a complaint. So I've not seen the original photo of what that black woman was supposed to be based off of. To me, you know, it was very interesting that you choose a picture when she's put in the middle of a fighting scene and you pause it there, you know, not like a scene where she's at her best, or she's trying to, just at a scene where she could be just at her best, happy, whatever. So all of that things comes into play. But again, to me, I just think it's just, as a black woman, it's just the same thing that we see all the time. I think this is people reacting to what they're not used to. They're not used to seeing black women in these gaming worlds, and especially black women with black phenotypes, right? So like what you were saying before, that they'll just have a frame and then just change the skin pattern. Like even I remember that, when you could change the skin and the hair, but it's all the same person, right?
Yeah.
But these imageries now, where you're pushing through black skin and unapologetically black phenotypes, it's going to shock them. It shocked them with Mermaid. It shocks them with makeup, like in the makeup scene. It shocks them everywhere we go, because they're pushing this diversity thing, and now there's black people or they're listening to black people commenting on it. Like, for example, the black nerds group thing that I talked, Black Girls Who Game, sorry. There's people that, although they might not be on a team, there's groups out there who are black representative, who are having a say and are getting listened to. So as a result of that, we're seeing people freak out. Like, how can you freak out of a cartoon character, Little Mermaid? Like, it's not even a person, but yet that was a problem. So we're going to see this everywhere, and I just smile. I love to see it, because it just means, like, what it just highlights what we already know. What Cal says is that, you know, they're inferior. It's an inferiority complex. Why are you freaking out because there's a black woman there? Why are you freaking out because there's black women in makeup adverts? Why are you freaking out that there's black women in the cartoons? You know, it's just the same thing. And I just recognize it for what it is, and I just hope black women are, you know, I don't think that we should raise our blood pressure in it, because we'll be having the blood pressure every other month, and if no one is going to be there to defend black women, then that's just another pointless act to raise your blood pressure and then just show the world that you're not getting defended. You know what I mean? I just think we should pick our battles on it, because I think it's just everywhere, and I just think it all boils to the same thing. They're just not used to seeing us, you know. Because I just feel like there's always something every other and it's always black women. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and it's been like this since I've jumped onto your panel.
It does make sense in the sense of, when you look at a defeated group, how you defeat a group is by demolishing the men. So once the men are just completely scattered and you know, all over the shop, then you're not going to have a defended woman, because that's the primary function of men.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's highlighting that, one, black people obviously, you know, conquered in that regards, but it also, what you're highlighting, the dedication towards that. And you said it yourself that you're aware that every single black initiative that goes public is constantly bombarded with the infiltration of other people groups. And I think this gentleman, this individual who's Arab, whatever, I suspect he has black friends.
Yeah.
I've already seen one biracial brother who's renowned for, I think he tried to approach 3 black women, and he was very offensive with his tone, how he described them. And then he's always pictured with like blonde women who are, you know, hardly any clothes on in his house, whoever it might be. And this is, he's very, not to be disrespectful, he's very slow in education, as in he doesn't seem to be educated in much, if anything. And you got that kind of like Essex, Chelsea kind of
vibe.
vibe. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, but he is that individual's friend. So this Arab guy and this anti self-hating kind of biracial individual, they're friends, and now I'm seeing a pattern of how you can just mock black women to get somewhere, and black men have to understand that there can be no co-signing that. Absolutely not. There can be no, oh, I hear their point, or oh, but if they did this, it's like literally like this. It's like it's a no, and it's like this is a come up. They're demonstrating their power over you. You wouldn't survive if you were to mock one of their women. Yeah, but yet they're having a complete essay on your women. You are your women. They are you. When they mock them, they mock you. I shouldn't even have to tell you that. Like you should know this as an automatic. But I now have to go to like the common sense route. Here's common sense.
It's painful.
But you have to. You actually have to do it because that's how far removed.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's very it is shocking. But I start the show with the phrase that black people are inadequate for a reason. Because, like I said, the best way to improve is to watch other people. You see, like when you see these things attacking black people, go now show me the equivalent in the other community. It doesn't exist. Yeah, and the case of what I'm trying to say is how I can segue to, I guess, kind of the next topic was. We wanted to show in South Africa there was a scene where they were singing "Kill the Boer" song, a famous old song about invaders have come to kill us, so we want to defend ourselves and kill them. And this is like a song. It's a song that came out hundreds of years ago, tens of years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, who knows, right? But it's an old song. And when obviously European heard it, they weren't best pleased. Like, oh, you're talking about killing the invaders. You're killing white people. That's bad. They're not looking at the context, and they're not looking at, okay, this is a song. But what the reason I want to mention is because they'll have songs in the national anthem in America where they're talking about enslaving black people. They have songs where they're at war with England and they'll refer to them as redcoats, and they still sing those songs today, like when the redcoats came and we won. So they understood that someone came to invade them, they beat them off, and they made a song about it, and they sing this song. But when South Africa does it now, it's a problem. How dare you? Are you going to try to kill the Europeans? Notice how they're constantly thinking of their own well-being. If you go to America again and you see where they're trying to teach like race theory and that, and they say, no, we can't teach that because you're going to make white children feel uncomfortable. And they're dead serious on it. And so they have a white first mentality.
That's
and
right.
They show it there straight. Yeah. But black people are not recognizing the white first mentality. That they view it as equality. It's not equality. It's white first. It's
black people practice the lost black people practice white first as well. No, don't say that.
Course.
Don't want to offend the white person. Like they practice it themselves. Like I sent a picture to you. I don't know if you can put it up. I tried to put it on my screen, but literally, bro, this was yesterday. And I'm just scrolling through TikTok. Yeah, I recently just jumped on TikTok, and this guy showed up. I don't know if you can put it on screen, bro. That is a garlic chain. That is, I don't know if that's fake dreads, and then you can see the Rasta hat. Yeah, big, bold, and bright, bro. He had his face in the camera, and he was doing the Jamaican accent. I hope he can bring it up. He was doing a Jamaican accent, and he was just talking, and I just couldn't help myself. Like I had to stop. Like you can scroll. I just stopped and just looked at him, and then I was just like, told him about himself in the chats, and then I started scrolling, waiting, and then like I see a wave of people started saying like, "What are you doing? Like this is terrible. Like, are you gonna go blackface next?" And he had the cheek to be like, "Look, I'm a comedian," and he goes, "Hold on, wait." And you know what he did? He got up and he called his black friend over, bro. And his black friend was there. I tried to screen record it, but I'm so new to TikTok, it's hard, and apparently you don't get to save the lives, which is terrible. So he got away with it, but so the black guy came in front of the screen. He's like, "What am I?" He goes, "Oh, you're a comedian." He's like, "What am I doing? Is it offensive?" It's not like I'm saying Bomber Clark, Ras Clark, and everything else. I'm just talking with a Jamaican accent. Is that a problem? He goes, "Well, not really. Like, it's not really racist." He goes, What does that mean? Not this is the white man talking to him, you know, in the Jamaican thing. And then he even clocked the black man, said, well, not really. And he was like, so what do you mean by not really? He's like, well, no. If there's something not really, tell me no. There's nothing wrong because you're a comedian, innit? So just do what you're doing, innit? It's fine. You're a comedian. You're a Jamaican, right? Yeah, I'm a Jamaican. You don't find it offensive, do you? It's me, no. He goes, no, I don't find it offensive. He goes, thank you, right? You can go back to sleep. And the idiot went back out of the room and went back to sleep. I said in the chat, this is a demonstration of that one black friend. Yeah. Do you understand? And also, just because you've got one black person coming in and vouching for you, even doesn't mean he speaks for the community. There's a pool of people on here telling you that you're bang out of order and you go and you're one black sellout friend. And now all of a sudden and this is what I'm saying, bro. Do you see what I mean? Like, that's why with the revolution, the Haitian revolution, the first people they took was the sellouts. Then they went to the whites. Because they knew you're not going to be able to do any plan if they're going to go and run and tell the massa. If they've got the white centered, white first mentality of what we were just talking about, as where it's not just white people who have this white preservation and this white first mentality. Black people have it. You cannot go up to a black person who has that mentality and say anything about that might make a white person feel uncomfortable. They'll be the first one to shut you down. They'll be the first one to jump onto a live and tell a man, and he's Jamaican, like he was full-blooded Jamaican. He's wearing, I don't know if you've got it up, but he's wearing garlic ring.
I can't put it on. So there's a European man. Yeah, and he's wearing like a Jamaican hat, and he's got, I don't know what the garlic's about, but he's wearing garlic.
He's mocking us.
Yeah, of course. I can't transfer from this to this machine.
Okay.
But it's not uncommon, I think that's why we were talking about delineation in the sense of like when I think I go on panels and I use the term, these are brothers in genetics, not brothers in ethics.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yes, good.
It's very important, and we just say that look, we're either going to work with people or work on the behalf of other people. So when these people are completely like self-sabotaging, you're working on their behalf. You know that if you put them around anything, they will literally blow up everything. They'll open the door.
Literally,
they would build the secret plans, and I mean, what's interesting? I've been on a lot of panels on Instagram and this kind of stuff, and then when I'm talking about this kind of stuff, and they jump out defending non-black people, they've since afterwards take it down. So I can't actually show you any because maybe someone told them and they thought it looked bad, so they took it down. But there was a lot of time, and that would happen where it's usually once again talking about black love. And then the importance of it, and then this caused anxiety amongst many black men, and foaming for the mouth and this kind of thing. So it's I think the solution is literally talking about this concept that we're looking for an open door elite. We're looking for people who can practice utility and unity.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. Like we can't. Not everyone can come. And it's even further than that. Not everyone's invited. It's like you should whenever you approach any person who's about the community work, you should really want to be on your A game. Like, I can't go in there and start talking about other things. I have to convince these people that I'm about my community, and I ain't gonna do that if the first thing I'm saying is, "What about this guy?
Yeah.
What about that guy?" Yeah. And that's you notice that when I go on these panels, they start the conversation with, "Well, what about the Arabs?" And so I'm like, "Well, why are we starting a Black Burma conversation about Arab gold? Like, can you see how we're really defeated?" And what's good about the first topic, the case study about the new president of Burkina Faso, is he's acknowledging that how comes Africa has all these resources, but we're going to Europe begging? Something doesn't add up. You see, shouldn't if we've got the resources, people should be begging us? So there's some kind of corruption going on that he allegedly now is trying to iron out. And we're going to follow his story to see.
Absolutely, and we pray for his safety and health throughout that journey as well.
The thing with Ibrahim is that it's all good what he's doing. However, Brother Raven, he's mimicking Father Divine. Do you understand what I mean? Right, and that's
this is the thing. If you're referring to the Russian connection or something else, maybe is that you're referring to?
I'm referring to his partner, my brother. His partner's problematic. He's married to right. You understand? I don't want to.
Who's he?
I don't want to blow him.
Bro?
Wow,
Who's married to?
bro, I didn't research. This is
of the ice.
you've now got me on. You've now got me on
Get on
YouTube.
Google, bro. Come on, let's get this clarified.
No, hold on. Let me just.
Raven said, "Oh no."
Hold on. I might have to stop all kind of streaming. Hold on.
Yeah, we might have to just edit that part out.
Oh dear. Let me
The Flooring King, when I saw it on the what's in them, I thought we'll talk about the second topic, but then I was gonna, and I thought we've because I'm on a lot of the Pan-Africanist panels and of brothers and sisters on the continent, and a lot of them are not particularly happy with the Ice Woman.
Oh, it's a whole Ice Woman.
Father Divine syndrome. Yeah, you got the Ice Woman.
The thing is, I've typed him in.
Oh,
I can't find any. I don't know if he is. So he has a couple on my. I'm searching him here. I can't find anything.
Can you? So when you type the wife, nothing comes up.
No, I can't.
Oh, sorry, that's what you typed there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is that? Are you on images? Go to all. Go to all and see if it's on the Wikipedia. You're on images.
So let's see this. This is hold on.
Wow.
I haven't seen that. I mean, he's based in Burkina Faso, right? Is he based in France? Because
I've not looked into this, to be honest with you. I've not looked into it.
Different.
I'll take your word for it. I can't see anything here. I do wonder how that could have been a thing. Like, but once again, it would if that's the case. Yeah, it will correlate.
How can you talking about going to Europe for their resources, but you went to Europe for their women? Like, come on.
Before I make any comment, I'll have to see it can't be like a picture of him in school or something. It'll have to be like he's married to a woman and he picked a French woman because she's gonna be from France. If he's a good man and he's found a European woman, she's gonna be from France. There's nowhere else to be from. He won't be a Spanish woman. He'll be a French woman.
That'd be even worse from your colonizer.
Well, we already showed that there's many presidents from the African continent where their wives are directly from the country that colonized them. Like they would have to have gone to the country, find the wife, and then fly back and give them a castle. So there was a very interesting story that I want to cover, very random one, about one of the kings, emperors, or short-term emperors, and I forgot the country, but he found that he was fighting some kind of war in Asia, and he found he impregnated an Asian woman there, and then when he came back, he said, "Look, send my daughter and yourself here. I'm now the emperor of I forgot where it was," and it was just an interesting story of what happened when a person came back, allegedly his daughter, and it wasn't.
No.
It was. I mean, it's not. It's a famous story, but she came back. I have to see if I can find it, and she wasn't his daughter. And then what happened? I think a few months or years later, he received a letter from another woman and two women to go, by the way, we're your daughter, and this woman's an imposter. And then he then had her fly over, and the daughter. And then because he got used to the other daughter, he goes, well, I can't just love my daughter. I thought this was my daughter for all this time. So then he tried to have both daughters as his. And then I think something happened where the real mother was plotting to kill him. It was something really mad. It was crazy. Like, I was thinking, yeah, this is him picking an Asian woman, whatever it was. But this is it was an interesting story about an African king. I don't know what was happening there, but yeah, these fantastic tales of that they make it to a Disney movie. I don't know. But I can't see, I'm seeing black women when I type in wife. This is obviously in French or some dialect that I can't read. But I'll do the research. But usually when I type this stuff up, there's images galore. And there's non-stop images. But yeah, I can't see it. But either way, it's good the things he said. I would like to think that the brother is going to marry a African woman, but especially if he's going to get power. and resources and this kind of stuff.
Right.
But
Other announcement, right? I got it. It's the one who overthrew in Guinea-Bissau. So he's married to a French one. My mistake, not him. It's the other one. Yeah.
Oh, the one that he overthrew then.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because he said that guy wasn't concerned with running out some of the threats that's going on in the country. Okay, well that's good. That's actually good. What you said there.
I think we just heard a big sigh from Raven.
That would be shocking because that's like, come on, no, it's too early for that now. Come on. All right, well,
I wanted to ask you as well because I know that you mentioned about the whole LBGT and the black women. And I know a lot of people talk about it, like this whole alliance, but I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if the Manosphere is even talking about it as well. Like if they're even talking about what happened with, I think it was T.S. Madison and Jess Hilarious.
T.S. Madison and Jess Hilarious.
Yeah.
This just to let the people know what is that the large life lady. Oh yeah, the argument between her. I saw a clip, but I didn't click on it.
But this is what we need to promote more of, right? Because people always quick to say that black women ain't doing nothing, and this is a very sensationalized big thing that happened over there, isn't it? Like this has been, this is always coming up on my feeds. Like someone's always talking about this, and it was actually interesting because on one of my feeds, because I must have clicked on a couple of them, on one of my feeds, I got a live. I don't know this person. I'll try and find it if it's in my history. And I think this person was from the LGBTQ community, male. I'm not sure if he's transgender, but just very vibrant and from the community, right? And American and black. And he hosted a panel. So now it's like people are hosting panels and really talking about this. Right, so you've got people who are gay, people who are transgender, like the whole spectrum are talking about this. So for people who don't know, there's a transgender woman called T.S. Madison, and she said, to be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it was basically a comment about black women being jealous and black women should be supporting transgender and black women are not, and she's just of course, again, that's what I'm saying, disrespecting black women as a trans female, right? So this Jess Hilarious is a comedian, a black woman. I think she's Haitian descent, but she's in America. She's not American. And she clapped back at it. It's just like, look, we're sick of this. Like, I think it was something about how they wanted women to allow to be called cis women, and now the transgender men are saying that women think that they have an ownership on periods, but they don't. You know, like just all the way down that rabbit hole, foolishness.
I think I saw that particular video. I think I did see that.
And so Jess Hilarious has clapped back and just said, look, we're sick of it. Like, stop it. Like, you know, you're not going to get away with it. Black women are not taking it anymore. So everything that I'm hearing that black men or certain people are saying that they're not hearing, she did all of this. Yeah. And now it's becoming an actual topic, which is good because I think every time this happens, it's a big drama and it gets swept under the carpet. But because of these transgender, even the thing that we mentioned before, I heard one of them say that, it's interesting how it's never transgender men. So women who are the person was born a woman and turns into a man. They were saying it's always the men doing this thing where they're pushing themselves in the woman category. There was gays talking about it now, whether or not they agree with this, and this whole thing about, because they like to do the intersection, like what you're talking about. So yes, I'm gay, but remember I'm black. So it's very interesting because it's like, I am still black and this, that, and the other, but then you got the black women saying, listen, you can be what you want to be, but the fact that you're now telling us that we have to be cis and you want to be women and you're just disrespecting us, and like that pushback is now happening I think I saw something where you went to Comedy Hype. I follow them as well. And they did a good little breakdown on it with the men on there as well. And that was nice to see because I think the Comedy Hype is normally manned by a black woman. And she has like a lot of the comedians, men. And it was a lot of the men talking about it. And they were just like, yeah, like, you know, at the end of the day, black women are getting disrespected. I agree with Jess. I'm on Jess's side. And so, you know, that's good because now it's a gen. Because, you know, before it was touch and go if you could even say transgender. It was almost like the J word. Do you know what I mean? There was so much about it. So at least that's happening. But yeah, I think that we should maybe talk about it or touch base on it next week. I don't know if anything will come of it, but it'll be good to highlight that or even keep an eye on that kind of conversation that's happening within the community now because it's finally happening, you know?
Yeah. It's a good point. And the truth of the matter is, one thing you have to understand as well is the transgender woman technically is a man, right?
Yeah.
Or physically is, or however people want to word it. So that is still now a man situation, a problem. Like,
exactly.
Men have to, but it gets tricky because the illusion game is strong where like you'll be treating that individual as a you know as a the respect that you would want to show to a woman, you might be compelled to do. Do you know if that makes any sense? Like because of the shell and going on with the pretense of what of the conversation. It's a very tricky one.
It is a tricky one, but I mean, it's a tricky one. But then this I think this kind of argument really forces you to hold to your morals. So if you're one of those people who believe that you're a man regardless, then that is still a man that you're talking to. Just happens to be in a dress, right? And so once you have stick to those morals, then the confusion doesn't happen. Like if that makes sense. But if you and even if you're gonna go on the thought of, you know what, each to their own. If that's how they want to live their life, I believe in that they can live their life, but they're not going to now dictate to me that what I see them as. If they want me to call them Sarah, I can call them Sarah. But if they ask me what they are going to be that they were biologically born a man to me and they choose to be identified as a woman. Like, even if you go by that route, right, as well, it still boils down to the same thing that you are literally like trying to bully women at this point. You're telling them they can't talk about periods, they can't call themselves women, you want them in the room. And all of this stuff is coming out like very raw because and as well, it was an example of as soon as you hear something you don't like, you rip apart black women. I think the transgender woman, T.S. Madison, was even saying that, you know, black women are upset because more times they get mistaken for transgenders. They get mistaken for men. So now you've got this black person who was born a man, transitions into a female, telling a female within his community that you look like men, using the same rhetoric that we've just heard the Arab man say that we know that stems from the white man. Do you understand? So, but yet you want to call yourself female. So this is everywhere you turn as a black woman, there's a shot coming. I'm telling you, but that conversation is very interesting having, and it's about time, to be honest. You know, and I like to see the black men just say, you know, I don't, you know, because Jess is she's a comedian, right? So I'm not going to say everything she said everyone agrees with, but I like to see it, especially in the comedy hype. Like that would be a nice example to see is the men saying, you know what, I stand by Jess. You know, black women are not protected enough. This is ridiculous. You're not going to start telling women that they look like men. That's why they're jealous of transgender. You're not going to tell them that they own periods and, you know, they should be called cis instead of calling themselves women. You know, it's crazy. So that's nice to see. That's a little win for us. And it's even a win for the men actually do it, like standing up. You know, when the time comes, they came and spoke up about it as well. So interesting.
And just so you know, just to confirm, the individual we'll describe for wasn't the current president of Burkina Faso. It's the current president of Guinea.
Yeah.
And it's Mamadi. Is it Diambia?
Yeah.
I remember I'm saying it wrong. But he also came in for a coup. And his wife is from France, and she used to be before she married him, a duty police officer in France.
A what
So
police
that
officer?
was,
Sorry.
active duty police officer in France. That's what she was. So maybe she arrested him or something. I don't know. Maybe.
That just sounds
And they
like
fell
a
in love.
plant if ever I heard one.
But what's interesting is because when I click on it, it goes the First Lady of Guinea.
Wow.
Oh, right. So yeah, she's the First Lady of Guinea. We'll cover that another time. But thank you, family. Everyone give thanks to Brother Kel and Sister Kushti.
Yes.
Maybe next week we'll cover the Egyptian thing, and because Brother Kel brought up and so did Empress Kushti, and maybe we'll dive into the LGBT and protection and men protecting against, I guess, men in dress and this kind of thing. And we'll we'll also look at some of the women who are used as pawns to push the LGBT agenda. I've noticed them in certain Congress where they'll use a black woman to fight that a man is a woman and this kind of thing. And we'll look at, maybe we'll get the Disney tapes again of their agenda of trying to get as many LGBT content in children's programs as possible. Cool.
That's happening a lot as well. a lot.
Yeah. Well, we've got the tapes where they say that's what they're trying to do. The thing is, before we go, it's very interesting because essentially these are, because what it is, right? There's been hundreds of characters that's in a world doing something, right? And they could be gay or they might not be gay. But what they don't care about someone actually being gay. What they want is the gay activity. You see, they want the lovemaking process that the individuals engage in to identify that they're same-sex loving, right? And it's like once you go there, you're now talking about a topic that's inappropriate for children. But this seems to be the only way of them expressing their same gender loving ideology, and it's odd. It's almost like the world is literally going mad.
I'm telling you,
because this is not acceptable for heterosexual behavior,
exactly.
Right?
It wouldn't be appropriate for a straight couple. I say that all the time. It's so true.
Yeah. So it's something that we'll discuss that next week. But until then, thank you.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like this.
No.
Even it's so interesting when you said that because I don't know if you remember Teletubby. And this is rather like Teletubbies and even the Simpsons. I think it's Mr. Smithers, or there's so much different cartoons back in the day where as an adult you could probably be like, but as a kid it wasn't obvious. Does that make sense? Like what you said.
Yeah.
There was no need for us to see them like embrace kissing.
You don't need to show. Yeah, and there's books they've released now where this is what they're describing and this kind of stuff. And it's getting to the point where it's like it's up there. See, it's up there with this kind of agenda, and it's like, here's what it is, right? Before we go, it comes down to counterculture, yeah. So hip hop, jazz, rock and roll, reggae, whatever you name it, right? These are countercultures. So when they went on, right, the mainstream did not approve of it, right? But it became so popular, people were spinning on their head, rapping, doing jazz, playing bass, whatever it is. It became so popular that it had become a part of the mainstream zeitgeist. So this is something that goes from the bottom to the top. What you're seeing now is you're seeing people in power who have an LGBT agenda, and they're trying to force that down. And that's why it's making no sense, because we naturally are not comfortable with that. Even if you want us to be comfortable, we have to see and go, I want to do that. But unfortunately, when we see this stuff, we don't. So,
that's why it feels forced.
So it is forced because it's coming from top to bottom. Literally. While counterculture comes from bottom to top.
It's the underground that makes mainstream. That's so true.
Yeah. Right. So this is why when we're seeing, it's like we're watching on TV. It's like this doesn't add up. You know what I mean? Because it's like, like back in the 80s, you might see something on TV, and it's like, oh look, they've got breakdancing in this movie now because breakdancing is popular, and it's like I'm now relating to it, and we have to see it. Yeah, you're like, this is good, but then now it's like you're watching a show, and last week the man loved a woman, but this week he's naked with two men, and you're like, oh, what?
It's so true. Or every black movie that has come out thus far. Oh my God, bro! You want to try and not see a gay scene?
It makes, but it's something. I think I haven't seen it, but they brought back some think they called the Pride Family or something like this.
The cartoon.
I haven't seen the original. Yeah, it was one of the earliest
all black
cast cartoon. Yeah, but apparently they've now introduced new stuff and and I'll go by saying this. I was watching The Matrix and it's a terrible movie, but I was watching the latest Matrix.
There's a latest one.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
So just to give you context, not that I'm trying to dwell on it. They used to be done. The Matrix used to be done by two brothers. Yeah. It's now done by a brother and a sister. Allegedly. So obviously, one of the brothers has become something new and carried on. And I think that particular brother, who now is identified as a sister, is directing the thing. But regardless of whoever's doing it, there's a scene where a European man, he's got no role, he's literally like a bodyguard he's walking through. He looks at a statue of a black man, which is Morpheus. And then he says something like, "Oh, I want to."
It's they just have to drop it. It's like a quota. It's like they get ticked off
but it made no
for
sense.
like doing so many gay references in the movie.
It made no sense. It's like
they just drop it in.
Like I haven't even seen. If a man was to do that to a woman's statue, I would say, "What is that?
Why?
Why
it's random."
But this European bodyguard man is walking through a building, looks at a statue of a black man, and goes, "I want to make love to that."
But remember, Brother Raven, remember the European. Remember when they went to Nubia, Socrates, and remember they wanted to sleep with the Nubians. So the Nubians sent them away, and only Socrates graduated. So they're yearning for a daddy, you know what I mean? And this is the reality of it, you know what I mean? The Roman culture, you know what I mean? And this is why history is very important, man. But they're definitely
absolutely. If you don't know your past, you're in danger of repeating it.
That's right.
Yeah. So before I go, Raven, say it again. Yeah, I was talking about Matrix. The latest one is a new Matrix. Funny enough, before we go, there's obviously a woman, I forgot her name, shame on me, but I think she won a case to say that Matrix propaganda.
It was her story.
Terminator and
man.
Very, very interesting tell there. I think she won the case. But
that's why I'm surprised they've done a new one.
Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that I can't say what they have done, haven't done. On my days on my screen it says "Love Is Blind" and there's that black man. I remember his face. He was the guy who was with a white woman. So everything seems to be triggering. Anyway, look. Cool. We're gonna we cover these stories straight to this guy was really bullied by this.
I gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, it's getting silly now. It's getting guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you, Brother Carol and Sister Kush. And next week, talk. Definitely Black Betterment.
What's up, brothers? Black Betterment.